Good evening everyone and welcome back to the World Online Racing YouTube channel for round number 12 of this PC Tier 1 season. Tonight we head from COTA to Miami for the Miami Grand Prix this evening, the second portion of this USA triple header, and of course the stakes are higher than ever before. Jarno Opmeer can secure the title tonight. Lucas Blakely and Nicholas Longe, both of them need to win to keep their hopes alive. We'll see what happens this evening. My name is Dan Field and tonight I'm being joined by Nathan Richards. Nathan, how you doing tonight?
Doing great. We'll start with this race. Obviously, Jarno can take the championship today, so that puts a lot more on the line for many drivers. Yeah, I think we've got a great race ahead of us. Miami, it's not a track we race at very often, so obviously some drivers might not be as experienced around here. So yeah, I think we're going to have a fun qualifying session ahead of a race tonight, and yeah, I think we've got a decent grid, a few reserves, obviously a few people from Tier 2 making their debuts, which is nice, obviously, for them to have a chance up to race at the top. So yeah, we'll see what they can do as well in this race tonight.
Absolutely, it's going to be a very cracking one. We have been here before, back in season 13. It was a wet race won by Lucas Blakely, who needs the win to keep his championship hopes alive. We can talk about the permutations in just a few minutes' time. Jake Benham finished second last time, and then Jarno Opmeer came in third when we were here back in season 13. It was Jake Benham on pole, and it was Alvaro Carreton with the fastest lap. So good signs, I'd say, for two of the championship contenders that this could be a good race for them. We'll have to wait and see, of course, heading into this one. Nathan, it is a very new circuit. It opened just 15 months ago, and it definitely can be a little bit of a difficult one.
Yeah, definitely. I think that uphill chicane section is quite difficult to get right, and obviously a lot of people also end up exceeding the track limits there. So I think penalties are also something we'll probably see for the track limits here tonight, which obviously, when we have a grid such as this, which is always so close, and everyone's normally in that DRS, it causes lots of issues when it comes to penalties, because you'll drop 6, 7, 8 positions if if you're not careful from just 1 3-second time penalty. So some drivers might have to be a little more careful when it comes to the track limits or anything. And also the pit lane, it can also send a few people off guard because it's quite a weird entry to the pit lane. I think it's a little bit like Baku in a way. It's quite squiggly on entry, and there's lots of walls as well. So you've got to make sure you be careful there as well on your entry, so you don't hit the wall, and so you don't end up overspeeding as so you don't lock up.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just quickly run through the grid for this evening. Heading into this one, we've got in the Red Bull, Valentin Bruffaert and Will Lewis. Ferrari is Nicholas Longe and Istvan Pukki. Mercedes, Duncan Hoffland and Jarno Opmeer, who can win the title tonight. Then we've got Philip Presnader and Luke Smith in the Alpine. McLaren is a very familiar sight of Danny Moreno and Lucas Blakely. We've got in the Alfa Romeo, it is Thomas Ronhart and Declan Barrett making his PC Tier 1 debut this evening. Then in the Aston Martin, we have Fabrizio Donoso and Otis Lawrence. Then in the Haas, it is Tamas Gal also making his debut this evening, as well as Piotr Stahalec. Then in the Alpha Tauri, it's Jed Norgrove and Joni Tormala. Round out the grid is Yannick Schmidt and Shanaka Clay. So Nathan, lots of reserves coming in this evening. However, we still got the main title contenders this evening. We have Nicholas Longe, Lucas Blakely, and our championship leader, Jarno Opmeer.
Yeah, I think those three, they always are fighting for victories, or at least fighting for top fives and podiums. So I think, those guys are where we expect to see in that top five. But I think for me, I'm quite interested to see what Yannick Schmidt can do. He's in the past, I think 6 rounds in WRT2, he's scored podiums in 5 of them. So he's a very consistent driver at the top. So I'm intrigued to see what he can do on this grid. Obviously, a little bit different with the qualifying format, but obviously the race format is always the same as it is over every tier. And Tamas Gal as well, another very quick driver, obviously just coming into here tonight for his first race. So I'm intrigued to see what he can do as well. He's another very young driver, obviously taken part in Challengers last season. Didn't have the best experience there, but when it comes to league racing, he tends to do a little bit better. So obviously, maybe that pressure will get to him. It's something that's got to him many times, but if you can keep yourself calm, I think you should be able to get yourself a decent point result.
It's very exciting to see all of these sort of tier 2 guys coming up into the bigger picture. Of course, we saw the likes of Joseph Loke come in at the beginning of it was just a few rounds ago, 3 races ago in Spain. He finished on the podium being a tier 2 starter, and I think he might be, I've not really caught up with tier 2, but I think he might be in the championship hunt there. But yeah, thinking about last week's results in the United States Grand Prix, of course, at COTA, it was Lucas Blakely taking victory ahead of Jarno Opmeer. It was a hard-fought battle between those two, but just pitting a lap early allowed for Lucas Blakely to build that gap to the Dutchman and ended up in a Scott victory. Then in third place was reserve driver Danny Beresnay on his PC Tier 1 debut for the season. Finished in third. Jake Benham was fourth. Isfan Pookie was fifth. Sixth was Danny Moreno. Seventh was Tom Manley. Eighth, Otis Lawrence. Ninth, Dylan Warren. And then Ishmael Fassi rounding out the top 10. The key thing to note here, Nathan, was that Nicholas Longue was not inside that top 10. He had a torrid race after a very unfortunate screen freeze, and that really did cost him. He ended up finishing outside the points and has really put him on the back foot this evening.
Yeah, he's going to hope he doesn't let that get to him here tonight in Miami. He's got to make sure he can get back to where he normally is. Obviously, in order for him to stay in the championship fight, he needs to win, or Lucas does, one of the two. So obviously, he's got a lot of pressure on him tonight. If he still wants to be in that championship hunt, but I think realistically, considering you are 71 points ahead of Lucas and you're 73 ahead of Nicholas, the main battle is between Nico and Lucas. Obviously, they're only 2 points apart. So I think the main battle is just for P2 between those two. And I think they'll have a decent battle, obviously. So you can see over the past few rounds, there's tracks where they've both had their strengths and their weaknesses. And well, obviously we'll see here tonight which one is favoured most by this track.
And we'll see how the results from the United States Grand Prix. You can hear we've just loaded into qualifying. I'll put that on pause for a minute. I'll put the standings on your screen. It is Jan Otmir absolutely dominating this championship. 71 points ahead of his nearest rival, Lucas Blakely. He's sitting on 194. Lucas on 123, just 2 points ahead of Nicholas Longue. Otis Lawrence eliminated from championship contention as of last week. He sits fourth on 95, just 20 points clear of Isfan Pookie in fifth. What a performance he's had this season. Tomek Peragis sits just 10 points back from him in sixth, and then 3 points clear of Alvaro Caraton, who's seventh on 52, who's ahead of Fabrizio Donoso in eighth, but just 1 point. Then Danny Moreno on 47 in ninth, and then Thomas Ronhard rounds out the grid on 40. That is the championship standings coming into this race, and I'll bring us back over to the intermission scene, but I think now is the time, Nathan. I'll put us over to the game. You can see cars out on circuit, and up first, I'm trying to see if I get the track map on my screen. It is, I believe, Otis Lawrence first out.
Yeah, is there qualifying bans for the McLarens? They've both retired in the pit lane.
I wouldn't expect it. From last race, we had no penalties at all. There was no stewards reports whatsoever. So very peculiar to see that both Lucas Blakely and Danny Moreno have decided to retire from qualifying. I think there's going to be a sort of a last to first challenge coming out from those two. But I think Lucas Blakely, I mean, he's in the championship hunt. It's looking very unlikely at this point, and this might be the final nail in the coffin.
Yep, he needs to do last to first, which I think he's done before on maybe one occasion, I remember, but it's not something that commonly happens. And obviously, I noticed in the past few rounds in many leagues, Lucas hasn't had the best luck. I remember, I think it was here when was it Zandvoort when he got taken out on the straight? I think it was. That
was a very difficult race for him, and I think that was really what put his championship to bed. I could just see in the live chat the WOR channel has said a few people are opting to start last, so they might learn some stuff. I wonder if that's due to strategy or maybe what the optimal setup is and how to follow around this circuit. So maybe it's just all preparation for F1 Esports, but certainly Lucas Blakely coming into this race. It is sad to say, Nathan, he's not looking for the championship fight.
No, it's a big shame, but I think it comes to league race. I think a lot of this sometimes for like Lucas Blakely at the moment. He knows he's that far back in the championship. I think he's just going to spend the rest of this season there, these last couple of races, just maybe learning things to do with strategy, trying to learn the car, learn a bit more about the game, ready for when esports comes in a few months' time. So yeah, I think that's what it is for him. Just a bit of preparation. Starting that's a bit of a fun element into it. Bit of obviously, it's good for content as well. So, there's lots of elements of why he'll start where he is. But I think we've got a few people actually on actual laps, but they are all on intermediates, aren't they? Yes, they are. And
sorry.
I was going to say, I noticed there's a few more inters than we normally see, isn't there?
Yeah, actually that is true normally. I mean, on the F1 22 game, it was all 20 drivers coming out on circuit, but on F1 23, we normally see around just a few drivers coming out onto the track. I mean, it took a while for everyone to get in the lobby, so maybe they've all just loaded up the game or whatever, but I'm not too sure. Well, that is quite peculiar. We've got almost all the drivers out on circuit. Isfan Pookie, Jarno Otmir, Fabrizio Donoso, Nicholas Longue, Yoni Tormal and Will Lewis, they've all opted to stay in the garage. But everyone else, aside from Danny Moreno and Lucas Blakely, of course, they've retired from qualifying. They're all out on track, so it's very interesting to see everyone as we're watching Otis Lawrence head down the straight. Sort of the young up-and-coming star in the F1 Esports scene. Still too young for Otis to enter into F1 Esports, but Nathan's future is looking very bright.
It is. I think him along with Alfred Butcher are going to be looking to get themselves into esports. They're obviously very young, brand new result. He sets the fastest stat there. He's, you know, oh no, that's not ideal, is it? Ronard's been disqualified for being in a dangerous location.
And I just
So
I just put on my notes that Lucas Blakely was starting last because I didn't expect anyone to get DSQ'd from qualifying. And now Thomas Ronhard has just made me have to scribble everything out, put him in last. I guess it's really just a competition between these guys. But now, Nathan, we know who's going to get eliminated from qualifying. We know 3 people are getting eliminated from qualifying. I mean, the stakes are a bit lower coming into this one.
it does, and I think the thing is that the three that are out, I think Danny, he hasn't had the best qualifying performance from what I've seen it, but he's obviously hasn't done much league racing from what I've seen. But Lucas and Thomas are always in the, you know, pretty much always in Q3. So having 2 Q3 contenders out in the first qualifying session is good for drivers who might not normally get to Q3. And Otis is giving us a great drifting representation through that second sector. It's great to watch.
Slides his way through the chicane there, and it's getting very close to the wall off the exit. We'll need the AWS graphic that they brought in for Singapore, 1 centimetre from the wall. Lance Stroll certainly was a little bit further on than that, but Otis Lawrence heading his way down the straight. Really would like to see what he can do maybe next season, in season 16 after Esports has ended. Wow, look at that slide from Otis Lawrence there. Can he get it into the pit lane cleaner? Is he going to disqualify himself? We'll have to wait and see. I mean, if we get 5 drivers all like DNFing out qualifying, surely we're going to, like, what's going to happen then? We're not going to have a fight for a Q1 elimination.
Yeah, it'd be. I think it'd be something we haven't seen much before, or something we've never seen before. But well, at least 9 drivers are safe in at the moment. They've actually got lap times on the board. Many of them haven't. As Piotr Stahlek is also doing a bit of drifting on his way, I presume, back in towards the pit lane soon. There's a few yellow sectors, but I believe that is people coming back into the pits because we've got about, what, 10-ish minutes left. That's normally when you see all the soft runners charge back out. Well, we've got 12 minutes. Normally, in the next 2 minutes is when we normally see a lot of people come back out on their soft tyres. That's a big drift there from, I think, Nicholas Longa. He's on an out lap and he's coming back into the pits along with Sahalek as well. So yeah, we'll obviously see them shortly, Dan. Probably move on to a set of softs.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's normally around about the 10-minute mark is when we start to see drivers come back into the pit lane, strap on a fresh set of the soft compound tyres, then come out onto the circuit. This is going to be a very interesting Miami Grand Prix. We've never raced here in the dry in WOR. It was a wet race at the beginning, then it dried up towards the end, but we've never seen sunshine like this. Even in qualifying, it was hazy up ahead. It was overcast conditions, so definitely is going to be a bit of an interesting one heading into this race. Jake Benham is not here. He was on pole in season 13 when we first came to this circuit, so we're going to have a new pole sitter around this track. Jarno Opmeer could be one of them. Of course, qualifying typically isn't his strong suit, but he definitely can always find himself in the upper echelon. I mean, I'd say the favourites like Lucas and Nicholas Longe, they are some of the quickest qualifiers on the grid. They've DNF'd and they are out of this session. I think we've got 4 drivers, so at the moment, Nathan, we are only losing 1 driver from this qualifying session.
Yeah, and how I'd hate to be that driver that ends up going out in Q1. That would be horrible. 1 sole driver out. So yeah, it puts the stakes more up for going into Q3 because there'll be many drivers that might normally be seen out in Q1 and might be some people who debuted who you might think could be out in Q1. Well, they have a chance to get into Q3, so it could be a very interesting qualifying session, which could then make it a very interesting grid when it actually comes to the race. So yeah, let's see. I don't think Jarno would retire. It'd be quite interesting if he did, but I don't think he will, because then it'd be all the championship contenders out of qualifying 1.
That would be fun, seeing them all come up through the order. But I think at this point, Jarno Opmeer, we'll talk about the permutations actually, because if neither Nicholas Longe or Lucas Blakely win this race, Jarno Opmeer by default is your champion. If Nicholas Longe wins this Grand Prix, Jarno needs to finish 8th position. That will score him 4 points and still win him the title. Then if Lucas wins the race, Jarno can win the championship by finishing in 7th. So if they're starting so far down the order and sacrificing their possibility of winning this race, it looks pretty clear that Jarno Opmeer will be our champion by the end of today. But of course, it's not, you know, it's only Q1. We don't know what's going to happen. Jarno could DNF at some point, and then Lucas and Nico, they can come up through the order, have a tumultuous scrap right to end off the championship, and then we'll see in the final 2 rounds if they are able to take the fight to Jarno Opmeer. But Nathan, chances are slim of that happening. However, Still possible.
Yeah, definitely. Oh. Well. And so, well, there we are, everyone. That's Q1 finished.
Yeah, I think they know. They know that they're all going to make it through. Yoni, Will, and Piotr Declan, they're all going to want to qualify at some point. But we're streamlining ourselves into the next session. The quickest time in Q1 is going to be a 30.7. Unless we see laps come out from Yoni, Will, Declan, all of those guys. But yeah, they're all retiring because they know that they are safe. So the 5 eliminated drivers at the minute, unless we see Piotr decide to eliminate himself, are going to be Thomas Ronhar, Lucas Blakely, Nicholas Longay, and Danny Moreno. Oh, and Fabrizio Donoso as well, actually. What a bottom 5 that is. You know, you never expect all 5 of those drivers to go out the same session, but it's happened here today.
Yeah, I still don't know if Thomas's was intentional or if he had another glitch at the exit pinning. So I'm sure something happened to him in Spa, and it happened the same thing happened. He got disqualified for stopping on track or something. But yeah, 5 of them out, 5 very quick drives out, 5 people you would normally see in at least Q2 and 3 out. That does give chances to likes of Duncan Hoffland, Tamas Gal, Philip Preschneider, Yannick Schmidt, who you might not always see find at the top. It gives those a chance going into Q3 possibly if they can get themselves there. Obviously, Yoni, Will, Piotr, and Declan need to set laps, otherwise they will be out. So if the one of them bins it now, then it wouldn't work well for Nicholas Longay, would it? Because he would actually, I think, still stay in.
Yeah,
barely.
These guys have got to they've got to get their laps done. But if they make it into the next session, they're just going to retire in Q2. So there's going to be a lot of quick drivers out of this session, but perhaps the quickest of them all is on a lap at the minute. Will Lewis heading into the second sector. This is very technical into this part of the circuit. It's a long-winded, slow right-hander that immediately switches over to the left, and then this chicane really does come out. You hop and a skip over the curve, drift over to the right, and then cut into the inside. Get a nice run through there onto this long DRS straight where Nathan, I think we're going to see the brunt of the overtakes. I believe this is in towards turn number 18. There's 19 turns along this circuit. This is the heavy braking zone. Even Will Lewis, he's backing off. He just wants to get a lap on the board, maybe saving his tyres ever so slightly. Because if he gets a lap, he's automatically going to be through into the next section. Here he comes up towards time. We'll see what it is going to be for Will Lewis. We'll go to the top of the order, understandably, with a 1 minute 26.147. Otis Lawrence is just beginning his lap now. I'm trying to see who is on a run. Joni Tormela's coming through the final few corners at the minute. Off the exit, freezing fast for Hard Rock Stadium. Looks like they've added that into the game. Otis retiring in the pit lane. Joni Tormela comes to the line with a 1 minute 26.371. And Nathan, we're just going to wait for the rest of the drivers to come into the pits, and then I'd expect everyone to retire here.
Yeah. I think this is the first time, Dan, that me and you could make it out of Q1 at WRT1.
Oh, yeah, we can hop in the car right now, get in a safety car or something, and then set a lap, go on pole. Why not? I mean, it's possible at the minute, and then we could brag on Twitter. We eliminated Nicholas Longay, Lucas Blakely, Thomas Ronhar in qualifying. Why aren't we in F1 Esports? Stuff like that.
Well, I don't think it'd settle down with them. I think we'd have a lot of angry people and jealous people in the comments. But we've got 2 people left on laps, which, well, they need to set laps so they can get themselves through into Q2, which is Declan Barrett and Sahalet. They're currently sitting 17th and 19th. Declan is coming down towards, well, turn 17, but he's let off completely. I think he just knows he needs to complete a lap, and Sahalet is coming down towards turn 17 as well, but he's actually putting his foot down. And then, yeah, Iswan Puk is the only one that's, well, could be eliminated, but obviously everyone else is retired at the moment. But he's still on track. He's down at turn 12, I believe, isn't he?
Piotr Sahalet, Piotr's actually just coming through the final few corners at the minute. He's going to come across the line with a 1 minute 30.5. That is very clever of him, by the way, to go onto the set of the intermediates to do that lap. Declan Barrett is going to come across the line. I don't see where he's gone. He's gone P15, so he's set a very slow lap there. But yeah, he is guaranteed to go through, so he's not put anywhere into the tyres either. And as I'm saying, Isfan and Piotr, they are both very clever to come out on circuit, get themselves out of danger on a set for the intermediate tyres, because then that gives them a fresh set of the softs to use in the next few sessions of qualifying. Will Lewis and Yanni Tourmaline, maybe they're feeling a little bit nervous that they might have invalidated a lap or something on the inters, but they've essentially now, Nathan, used up a set of the tyres that they could have used in the next 2 sessions.
Yeah, it certainly put them into a disadvantage, and that could also be why Declan went so slow, just so the tyre wear isn't as high. But yeah, Declan Batts made it through qualifying with a 2-minute 24.6. Well, good for him, I suppose, but he's used a set of tyres, same as the likes of, I believe, is it Yanni and Will as well? Obviously, Piatto did his lap on the inters. So yeah, that's put them at a little bit of a disadvantage going into Q2. And obviously, most people like the Service Van, Philip, and Jarno, they can all use a brand new set of softs because they didn't use any in Q1. But yeah, we will shortly come to the end of qualifying once Declan enters the pits, and hopefully when Yanni and Jarno also decide to retire from the session. And yeah, I remember before there was a qualifying session where it was wet, so obviously everyone set their lap times and qualifying was done, and Harvey Cole decided to go out on track for the last 10 minutes of the session, even though no one would improve.
I mean, I think no one would blame Declan if he just retired on circuit right now. It's not going to do anything. Jarno's in the pit lane. There's only 2 active drivers in this session at the minute. Piot did it as soon as he finished his lap. Piot just retired straight away because he knew he wasn't going to impede anyone, because no one's actually setting a competitive lap time at the minute. And I'm seeing a lot of people saying that it's a disrespect to the league by retiring at this early in qualifying. We know that Fabrizio Donato, Danny Moreno, Nicolas Longa, Lucas Blakely and Thomas Ronhard, their priorities do lie, and they should lie, with F1 Esports, as now Jan Otmir retires in the pit lane. And in this championship, you know, they're not going to be fighting for any silverware at this point. Jan Otmir really is realistically uncatchable at this point. So coming into the last few rounds of this season, when F1 Esports is fastly approaching, they are going to want to, you know, test things out and really put all the work they can in now in a competitive environment to try and you know, see what works for them, see what doesn't work, and so they can implement that in F1 Esports. So it's no disrespect to the league. The race will still be incredibly competitive. It's just in qualifying 1, they want to start at the back of the race, do gain as many places as they can. Maybe we'll see a shock podium.
Could do, but I think, well, Declan's going to enter the pit, so then we'll be done in qualifying 1. Then we'll go to qualifying 2, and yeah, as we said before, 5 drivers who are very quick out of Q1. It gives advantages to others, which is a great thing for them. And also, it gives an advantage to Arno Otmir because he's got the 2 championship contenders, 18th and 19th, and there we are. Q1 has now ended.
Yep, Q1 has ended. So Will Lewis, he tops the session, as expected, of course. Yanni Tourmaline in P2, Piotr Stahlets P3. All of these are intermediate laps despite being in dry conditions. The 5 eliminated drivers then are Fabrizio Donato, Danny Moreno, Nicolas Longa, Lucas Blakely and Thomas Ronhard, all going out of this session. So we're going to have 5 incredibly quick drivers, Nathan, coming up through the field once this race gets underway, and it's going to be incredibly exciting to see. We're still going to have a normal Q2 session, but Nathan, this also gives a great opportunity to drivers who are normally struggling to get out of Q1 to potentially fight for a Q3 position.
Yeah, I think it's great to have probably a very mixed up grid. It'd be nice to see the likes of Nicolas, Lucas and Thomas fight through the grid. We'll see what type of strategy they go for. Maybe they'll go for some soft to try and charge through. That would be great. Well, maybe at the start on the hards, or just see how long they can go before pitting, and then maybe making a really good overcut work. Yeah, I think those guys are going to make the race very interesting as well. And obviously, some drivers also being in place where they normally aren't will also make it very interesting. So yeah, I'm quite intrigued to see how the race goes. But now we will actually go to proper qualifying. Yeah. Qualifying 2 is pretty much qualifying 1 in this session, in this evening.
Yeah, see it as a 15-man qualifying, and this is Q1, and so the bottom 5 are going to get eliminated from here. We will join you in Q2 after a quick word from our sponsors at Next Level Racing. We'll see you in just a moment's time. Welcome back everyone, trackside here in qualifying for the Miami Grand Prix, where everyone is coming out onto the circuit to set their Q2 banker times. We had a very swift end to the first qualifying session, so we are keeping up, we're making some great haste here this evening. We're watching Otis Lawrence first out on circuit, and we'll see what he can do. All of these drivers, of course, have likely got a fresh set of the soft compounder tyres, because no one actually used them in Q1 due to the bottom 5 all retiring. We've lost some very big hitters, very big names in this session. Fabrizio Donoso, Nicholas Longe, Lucas Blakely, Danny Moreno and Thomas Ronhart all eliminated in Q1. It should make for a cracking, very entertaining Q2 qualifying session. Nathan, coming into this one, got a lot of names we wouldn't normally see in this session. Are you excited to see any of them potentially get into Q3?
Yeah, on the flip side, obviously we've got our three, so you could say, rookies in F1, which is Declan Barrett, Tamas Gal and Yannick Schmidt, who obviously all have raced in Tier 2, and I think they've raced in other leagues with these top-level drivers like Challenges and that, but it's their first time being in this league, in this format, so we'll see, we'll see what they can do. They're at least going to be 15th or higher, which is a good thing, but they can go through into Q3, possibly if they can get the right lap at the right time, or if people make mistakes, or people end up invalidating. They're in a good, perfect position, but I think we're in store for a great session. And the first one on a lap, I believe, is it Shana? No, it's Duncan Hoffland, isn't it?
It's Otis Lawrence in the Aston Martin. Got his first run underway. He's coming through the twisty first sector where he's going to go right past the marina. Doesn't have any water in it like last time in season 13. It was nice and rainy here in Miami. It's clear blue skies. He heads down on towards this DRS straight, heading up towards turn number 11. I believe this is at the end of the straight, where we can see plenty of overtakes being made. He's going to keep it tight to the left-hand side to drop as minimum speed as possible, then drift out wide to get the best run into the corner as possible. Kiss the apex on the inside and then come into the slow technical second sector end. Now in towards this next left and then into the chicane, where you hop and a skip over the chicane. Try not to invalidate through then. It is very common to get 3-second time penalties around this circuit come race time, so do be careful. It's a 1:06 for Otis Lawrence in this first two sectors. Looking pretty decent as a minute as he comes down in towards turn number 18. A heavy braking zone here, Nathan. See a lot of overtakes through here.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one of the best places to get an overtake with that. They're staying towards that braking zone. Great slipstream for the drivers. We know in this game the slipstream is OP as Otis comes to line. What will it be? It'll be a 25.993 the first laps in this session. We've got a few more coming through. Duncan Hoffland goes quickest with a 25.857. We have one of the Alpines, that's Luke Smith, at 26.142. Then we have one of the Red Bulls, I think that's Valentine. Yes, it is. We'll see what he can do with 26.182. Then we've got Shanaka Clay goes into second with a 25.960. And then the other Williams of Yannick Schmidt, we'll see what he can do in his first time in qualifying here at 26.3. So he's got a lot of work to do, but obviously we've got more sessions left to come. And then we've got the two Hassies, Pieta and Tamashka. We'll see what they can do. Tamash goes into the pit lane, and Pieta will set a lap. He will go to 6th at 26.212. So surprisingly there, Dan, the grid quite spread out on those first laps.
Yeah, nice lap there from Duncan Hoffland to put himself at the very top of the order for the time being, a 1:25.857. Of course, we've seen Duncan Hoffland a few times in this season. I believe he's got himself 18 points. It's been a very impressive season from Duncan Hoffland whenever he's raced. Of course, it was a P4 finish in that Spanish Grand Prix. Nathan, you were here for that. I mean, that was incredible to see him get himself up the order after all of the chaos of that race. Nicholas Longe lost his head on a few occasions, and that is a benefit from the reserve drivers. It's good to see that the Mercedes reserve filling in for Jake Benham this evening. It's good to see that he's performing well, as we've got a few more drivers coming out on circuit. We've got Declan Barrett coming out onto the track. Of course, I believe season 14 Xbox Tier 1 champion, making the jump over to PC. Nathan, you've been in Tier 2. How's Declan been doing?
He's been doing great. I think, he's had some great point scores. There's been some races where he's really fell off, but I think he's one of those drivers. If he makes one mistake, he kind of ends up fumbling down, and he can't really pick himself back up in that race. But when he's performing well, and when he's at, in that top 5, top 3 in a race, he can hold it there. He's consistent when he's at the top. So I think if he can get himself a good position, maybe into that top 10, can hold his own, get himself a good strategy, I think he's on course for maybe not lots of points, but for just at least a consistent position. So yeah, hopefully he can do well in this race. Obviously he's got lots of Tamas Gal as well, who's he's raced with, and I believe he's raced with Duncan Hoffland and Yannick Schmidt on multiple occasions. So obviously, he's a very good racer. So we'll see what he can do. Obviously, his teammate starting last. He's got to he's got to do a lot for the Alfa Romeo team tonight. As we've got about 6 people on out laps. 2 of them staying in the pits, like Giano and Will. So they're going to be going out pretty late in the session. Maybe Will, he's leaving it late, so he doesn't have to use it. So he doesn't have to go into a U set of tyres. He can go straight into a new set at the end of this session. Yeah, I think the likes of Luke Smith down, they're all in quite a lot of pressure, and they'll definitely need to go again because the 26-1, I don't think will get you through to Q3, considering a 25-8 has been put in from Duncan Hoffman there.
Yeah, it's a very nice time from him. We've not seen any of the heavy hitters in this session come out 4 laps at the minute. Jarno Ottmar, of course, is definitely going to be the favourite now, I'd say, to get on pole position. We'll see what he can do. He is on an outlap at the minute. He's just come out onto the circuit. So we're going to have a nice little watch of Declan Barrett as he slows down in the 3rd sector, runs very wide through turn 18 to get as much acceleration off the exit of that final corner as possible, really maximising all the speed that he can, because you really do need it when you get to this level of the game. Now beginning his lap, heading in towards turn number 1, where of course Sebastian Vettel had in contact with Mick Schumacher, then in towards this twisty exit sector. Be really careful of these curves, get right up to the wall on the inside now. Avoid that Williams car just ahead of you on circuit. Now really this is where it does get difficult, because you want to avoid these curves as much as possible, but you want to take the quickest line possible, run out wide through this long-winded left-hander, get the best run in through here, use a bit of that curbing off the exit of the corner, and then open up the DRS about halfway down this straight. If you go underneath the 123 Gantry, we're going to see some of the top speeds that they're going to have this evening. We'll have a look at Declan Barrett's top speed. He's 204, 205, 6 miles per hour at the braking zone in towards this very slow technical left hand of the change in pace around this beautiful circuit is immense. Now coming in towards this final part of the 2nd sector, really abusing the curves on the inside there. Declan Barrett slides his way though through the final few parts of this lap. It's a little bit scrappy for the Alfa Romeo driver, but he is really pushing quite hard here. Now he's going to come down this straight, and we'll see if he can improve. Well, he's not got a lap at the minute, but we'll see where he can find himself.
Yeah, he was really pushing there, especially that middle sector. He was really close to the walls, and at one point, I think in that chicane, I thought he was going to hit the wall. He got perilously close to that as he comes now out to turn 17, through 18, then obviously the final corner at the right at 19. We'll see what he can put on the board. He's hit a good time for Declan Barrett. It's going to be P6 of 26.2. He's got another lap to go, so obviously he'll need to improve on that, but still, it's a decent way to start. I think Luke Smith and Valentin Brevert are on their laps. Luke Smith's coming through in towards the end of this 1st sector. Obviously, currently in 4th at 26.1. He knows he needs to improve on that to get himself out of Q2, and he's doing a good job so far. We'll see if he can improve in this 1st sector. Coming through out of turn 7 and 8 now. Obviously, got the DRS as you head down towards turn 11. Down at the sharp 90-degree corner. He's coming through now with the DRS. Obviously, a few other people on that. So that's Jan Horner there into the 3rd position. Philippe Brezhneder into the top 5. Many people improving now, Dan. And Tamas Gal goes into the top 2.
Tamas Gal making his PC Tier 1 debut this evening. That's a very impressive lap time from him, and I'm glad to see that these Tier 2, or actually no, I don't believe he's racing in Tier 2, but some of these unproven talents in the F1 Esports scenes really can get their names on the map, as now Jarno Ottmar is heading in towards the final sector now. This very long straight. We'll have a look at his top speed through here. I'd imagine it's going to be around 208, 209 miles per hour. I'm seeing a lot of people complaining about my unit of speed is now in towards the final corner. A little bit slow off the exit that final turn. We'll see what Jarno Ottmar can do. He comes across the line. It's going to be a 1:26.251, where he was very competitive with purple in sector 2. Now he's he just backed off completely at the end of that lap, and he'll see himself at the minute in that bottom 5 and potentially in danger of being eliminated from qualifying here.
Yeah, definitely, and I think there's been a mistake there made, as Otis Lawrence goes quick. It's a mistake from Istvan Puki and Will Lewis to both let off on their laps. So I'm not quite sure what's happened there with those two, but they'll have to peel back into bits and get themselves back fueled up and onto a new set of tyres and get back out onto track. But at the moment, you're not me being out of Q2. That does help a lot of people going into Q3. Well, if he does go out in Q2, of course.
It'll be one of the most unpredictable Q3 sessions, because a lot of these drivers we don't actually see them in the final parts of qualifying, as Piotr Stahelec comes across the line. He goes 2,000 slower than Otis Lawrence, who set a current quickest time of a 1:25.800, right on the dot of a 25.8. That is very lovely to see, very pleasing to look at there. It's not like a jumble spaghetti numbers, as I like to call them sometimes. But yeah, heading in towards now the final part of Q2. At the minute, Otis starts quick as Pure Stahlets in second. Third is Duncan Hoffland on that initial lap that he did at 25.857. It's a really impressive time from him, and he's not had to improve on it. I think he might have been validated on his second lap, or maybe he's just not come out onto the track whatsoever. Nevertheless though, Nathan, Duncan Hoffman being in P3 with his first lap time, very impressive to see.
Yeah, it's a great lap time from him. Hopefully, you know, if he gets into Q3, he can also be posing for that top 5, top 1. As quickly, Badgerman just says in the chat that Thomas did park between the pit entry and track on purpose to get disqualified, so it wasn't an issue, luckily for him.
Yeah, I kind of did figure that. I mean, it would have been very much a rookie error for Thomas Ronhard to eliminate himself from qualifying but accidentally in that way. So I figured, yeah, if everyone else was retiring to start last, surely Thomas Ronhard is going to be doing the same. And he went a step further. Everyone else just retired. He decided to get himself disqualified, so he well and truly could start last. And I think that is it's very interesting from him, but it shows how committed they are to really wanting to start last. So fair play to him, and he will be starting from that P20 position. You can see him in just about 20 minutes time once we get this race underway. Nathan, we've only been live for 40 minutes at this point, and we're already coming towards the end of Q2. I mean, normally in WOR and other leagues we have so many delays, but that's not the case this evening. We're actually ahead of schedule.
Yeah, and with the fact we've had one less qualifying, we have had, you know, about 18 minutes less chance of a penalty, which we haven't yet had. But I've said that, I'm going to get one now. But obviously, at the moment, out of the session is Jano Ottmeier, Jed Norgrove, Yannick Schmidt, Istvan Pukki, and Will Lewis. Obviously, they all need to improve on their times. But the cut-off is a 26.205 from Declan Barrett. So obviously, those hold a lot of work to do. I think the biggest surprise there is Jano Ottmeier down in 11th. So he's got to definitely improve on that final lap. We'll see how much more people improve by, because the gap between Philippe and Declan's over a tenth, and then it does really, you know, bump up until you get to the towards Otis Lawrence, who's on a 25.800. So quite a big gap there between P1 down to P10, over 0.4 of a second. So lots of improvements needed for Jarno, Declan, Jed, and Yannick, and obviously Istvan and Will, who haven't set a lap yet in this session.
It'd be interesting to see if Jano Ottmeier does get eliminated in Q1. I remember Brazil earlier on in this season, just on pure pace, Jano Ottmeier was eliminated from qualifying in Q2. He ended up being in P12, I think it was. Otis Lawrence was also knocked out of that session. They were 11th and 12th. It was either one. I don't remember who actually finished ahead of the other, and both of them were able to come up through the order, because I think both of them have really strong race pace. So it'd be interesting to see if Jano Ottmeier were to get eliminated from this qualifying session and start in 11th or 12th, as Declan Barrett's got himself a 5-place grid penalty. Nathan, that means we are going to have to restart, and essentially I think that's going to wipe out sort of that advantage that we gained by having to get that lobby reset. So we will have a lobby restart at the end of this one. But now, just a minute to go in this session. The final lap beginning is Istvan Pukki heading in towards turn number 1.
Yep, we'll see what he can do. Obviously, he hasn't got a lap time yet, so he needs to get a good lap, but he needs to make sure he doesn't take too much risk, so he doesn't end up invalidating or spinning off as he comes through now. Then in towards the end of this first set, through in towards turns 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Very difficult, complex of corners. Obviously, you're going to be very careful with the braking down here. Obviously, you want to be careful. You don't want to slam the brakes down. You just want to make sure you take about 50-60% brake pressure as you go through there. Then you go on the exit, straight back on the power. DRS will open very shortly in about 200 meters time, as you obviously want to go full speed down here. You're looking at about 330 kilometers of an hour, about 205 miles per hour as you head down in towards this next corner at turn 11. This bit of a weird chicane corner, hairpin weird corner. I hate this corner. It's horrible to drive. People make mistakes. It's a horrible corner, but he comes through very nicely. Then up towards the uphill section. Be very careful not to invalidate through here. Very nice so far, just obviously jumping over those curbs. Then you come to this left-hand 90-degree left-hander. Then you head down with the DRS very shortly in towards turn 17, the final couple of corners on this track. He's gone purple in the second sector, but that doesn't really mean much because we always get told it's a purple second sector, but sometimes it could be the slowest. As he heads down now in towards this 17th corner, he'll brake just after the 100-meter board, down to 4th, geared back down to 3rd, sorry. Then he'll get back on the power. right up towards the line. You're going to be careful you actually can have enough ERS to finish your lap, as many people end up getting the deploy used before they finish their lap, and it'll be a quickest timer, 28.7. Very nice lap there from Istvan Pukki.
Yeah, Istvan Pukki should see himself into the next session very easily with that lap time. Here comes Declan Barrett in the drop zone now with Istvan Pukki's improvement. We'll see what the Alfa Romeo, the reserve driver, can do. He gets himself into P5. It's a strong position for him heading into this race. Yannick Schmidt, unfortunately, going to be eliminated from qualifying. One of the Alpha Tauris of Joni Torma comes to the line, jumps ahead of Declan Barrett. Here's Shanaka Clay to the line, goes 4,000 slower than Istvan Pukki. A very nice lap time from him there. Who is up next for the Alpines? It's Luke Smith coming up towards the line. P10, he's going to be very close to being eliminated from this session. Jarno Opmeer has invalidated Jarno out of this session. Philip Presnader also going slowly. He will be eliminated. Will Lewis without a lap time on the border. Here comes Jed Norgrove to the line and eliminates Luke Smith by just 11 thousandths of a second. That was a very swift end to Q3, but Luke Smith, Philip Presnader, Jarno Opmeer, Yannick Schmidt and Will Lewis all eliminated from qualifying here. It's Istvan Pukki leading the way ahead of Shanaka Clay in second.
Yeah, Duncan Hoffland, I think, was the only one to make it through on that one lap. He did a great job there with a 25.857 right at the start of the session to put it into the top 6. I think he's going to be a driver we might be looking at for pole.
Yeah, maybe. Duncan Hoffland, he normally is very good in qualifying. I remember back on the PlayStation days, it was him and Wilson Hughes in PSGL fighting it out for like the season 2028 title. I mean, those were the days at that point. But yeah, Duncan Hoffland has always been very quick in qualifying, and with his initial lap time of a 1 minute 25.857, I'm just gonna check the race director, see if that actually was his one and only lap time. Okay, you know, he invalidated a lap time that was exactly 1/10 quicker. That would have been enough to put him on the top step in Q2. So Duncan Hoffland, one to look out for. Here is your classification. Istvan Pukki leading the way in Q2. Shanaka Clay in second and Otis Lawrence in third. Fourth is Piotr Stachelec. Fifth is Tamas Gał. Sixth, Duncan Hoffland. Joni Tormala seventh. Declan Barrett eighth. Valentin Bruffer ninth. 10th is Jed Norgrove. And then being eliminated from this session, Luke Smith, Philip Presnader, Jarno Opmeer, Yannick Schmidt and Will Lewis. So big names once again being eliminated. Jarno Opmeer out of this session. Luke Smith being eliminated too. Philip Presnader, Will Lewis. You know, all of these guys, incredibly quick drivers being knocked out when you wouldn't expect them to.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've got a very interesting Q3 up and coming, as we'll be able to see shortly who is in to Q3. Just going to wait for the central slow. So we've got Shanaka Clay, Istvan Pukki, Duncan Hoffland, Otis, Joni, Valentin, Jed, Piazza, Tamas and Declan. I think that is a very interesting Q3. We're not seeing the likes of Nicholas Longe, Thomas Ronard, Jarno Opmeer. So I think, yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I think at this point, any one of these drivers could take pole. I think normally when you see the likes of Jarno and Lucas, you think those two are normally the ones you look at. But here, you know, it's quite hard to judge, isn't it?
Yeah, it is going to be very interesting to see coming into the final part of this session. There's a lot of drivers we don't typically see it in Q3, and that you know, that's no disrespect to them. These guys could lap me in a 5-lapper, but you know, it's not. We don't typically see all these drivers in the upper echelons of qualifying. Declan Barrett, Tamas Gał on their PC Tier 1 debuts being completely put into the limelight here in Q3. And just a quick thing to touch on before we get into this session. I saw a lot of people in the live chat this week and last week talking about why I've got miles per hour instead of kilometers per hour in terms of the unit of speed. If you would like me to change that, please do let me know in the live chat. I'll quickly change that in the settings. I'll work it out and then do it before the race starts. But nevertheless, we are getting into this session. Valentin Bruffer, the only driver out on circuit.
Yeah, he's definitely gone out of sync to everyone. Could be the fact he wants to get maybe 3 laps instead of 2. Obviously, we'll have to just push. But yeah, it's quite an interesting tactic from him. Everyone else obviously staying in the pits. So maybe it's the fact he doesn't think he can get the best lap time at the start. So he's going to go, you know, give himself some more chances and, you know, hopefully get a lap time on the banker, which is quick enough to then obviously go to a set of newer softs at the end. And obviously being on a free air, it's perfect. You ain't going to worry about anyone ahead. You ain't going to worry about anyone behind. So you can just drive and complete that lap how you want. So he's heading down towards turn 17. No one else yet still moving out the pit lane. So yeah, at this rate, he's going to end up getting a whole lap before anyone comes out of the pit. So we'll see what he can do as he comes through in towards the end of that end of the lap. Then to third, back onto power, and he begins his first line lap, the first line lap. Oh no, he enters the pits. Okay. It's an odd one, but there we are. That was built up for nothing. He's back into the pits, and well, he enters the pits, and people are exiting the pits.
Yeah, we're getting everyone out onto the circuit. I'll tell you what, everyone, I'll change it now. You can see the speedometer unit's been set to kph there, so you can stop whinging. You can see on the in the telemetry as well. It's been apologies, it's not whinging, but it's very valid thing. But yeah, you can stop talking about it now. I'll start talking in kilometers per hour. I've just always used miles, to be completely honest, so it's going to be a bit of a change to me. Now he's going 160 kilometers per hour on his outlap there, but yeah. Otis Lawrence, first man out on circuit for the first proper runs of Q3. 4 minutes now, oh sorry, 3 minutes already have gone in this session. 9 to go. We're yet to see anyone go out on a lap. We'll see what happens here.
Yep, so the first one set lap will be Otis Lawrence, another very quick driver sitting fourth in the championship, but yes, there's many reasons why luck hasn't gone his way the end of this season. He hasn't scored many points, I think, in this second half of the season at all. He was a real championship contender at one point, but now he's kind of dropped that back completely. I think he's like 99 points behind John Rotme in the championship, so he's still on course to possibly try and beat Nicholas Longay and Lucas Blakely. Obviously, it's going to be quite a hard job because we know how quick they are at working their way through the field. So I think looking at this grid, I think Otis should be in that top 5, surely, maybe even in the top 2. He's coming through in towards the uphill chicane section. You've got behind him Jed Norgrove, then behind him is the Mercedes of Duncan Hoffland, and the other AlphaTauri of Yoni Tourmalat. Then obviously everyone out now, apart from at the back, we've got, I believe that's Shaneka Clay and Valentin Bruffer, who are coming through in towards that second sector, then towards turn 11. And well, as they go then towards there. Otis Lawrence is heading into turn 17 to begin his first lap of the session. Now we can actually say the first lap of the Q3 session. 8 minutes to go. Otis is first on track. This could be a very interesting start to the end of qualifying.
Lots of drivers really close to each other on circuit, so we're going to see lots of yellow flags in that final sector of just drivers trying to space themselves out. But here comes Otis Lawrence beginning his lap, heading in towards turn number 1, braking just after the 100-meter board, kissing the apex on the inside and running it out wide as you take towards the first part of this kissing section. Where the curves can be lethal through here. You just want to dip one tyre onto them and not much more. Now in towards turn number 4, I believe that this is going to attack through this first part of the lap. Otis Lawrence wants to run it out wide for this long-winded left-hander, then cut back in, use some of the curve on the exit of the corner. A little bit of slide from him there, slight bit of oversteer for Otis Lawrence. It's a 28.884 through the first sector split. Opening up the DRS now, heading in towards turn number 11, I believe this is at 326, 27, 28, 29 kilometers per hour at the braking zone. It's so much more exciting than miles per hour as now he slows it down in towards the end of this second sector. It's really technical through here. It's so easy to invalidate over the chicane, but Otis Lawrence sees no such issues, flicks it over towards the left-hand side, and slides his way off the exit of the corner. It's 1 minute 0.31113 for Otis Lawrence at the minute. Very nice to see for him as now heading in towards the final few corners of this lap. At the end of the DRS straight, we'll see what he can do as he approaches this hairpin where we're going to likely see most of the overtakes heading into this race. Now off the exit of the final corner, we'll see what Otis Lawrence can do to lay down the gauntlet in Q3. It's a 1 minute 25.638 for him there. We'll see what everyone else can do as they come through the final sector.
Yeah, Jed Norgrove crashed up the uphill chicane. I think he took a bit too much curb and hit the wall on the inside. So he's out of qualifying. Duncan Hoffland invalidated. We've got Yoni Tourmalat up to line. He goes second with a 26.041. We've got his team. No, it's not his team. Sorry, it's the Ferrari of Istvan Puki. He goes into second with the 25.660. The two Hasses, third and fourth, currently the 0.8 both for both of them respectively. We've got Shaneka Clay. He's coming through in the final sector towards line. We'll see what he can do at the start of this Q3 session. Where can he put himself? It'll be P1 for Shaneka Clay with a 25.586. A great lap there for Williams. Driver Valentin Bruffer goes second with a 25.595. And Duncan Hoffland, I believe, he invalidated on his lap, so he'll be heading back into the pits with no lap at all. But Shaneka Clay and Valentin Bruffer, great laps from those two. And yeah, I think they definitely going to be fighting for pole in this session. I didn't think Valentin would start the session anyway, so great lap from him.
No, Jana Otmir, Lucas Blatney, Nicholas Longe, never heard of them. We need to talk about Shanaka Clay and Valentine Bruffair at the top of the order with a 1 minute 25.586 compared to a 0.595. Incredibly tight margins between those two coming in towards the end part of this session. And now that we've seen the initial Q3 lap times on the board, let us know everyone in the live chat who you think is going to be taking pole position and with what time. We will read out some of your replies in just a few moments' time. Nathan, I'm going to flip the question over to you. Who's taking pole?
Oh, it's a hard one. I'm going to go with Shanaka Clay, but he's already on pole. I'll take the safe bet.
For me, I'm going to go with Duncan Hoffman. I think Duncan... I'm going to go with Duncan Hoffman. It's really tough because we don't see all these guys fighting it out in Q3. Normally when it's like Nico, Jarno, Lucas, you're safe to go with one of these three, one of those three, but we're not really seeing anyone. We're not seeing any of those heavy hitters in this session. So I'm gonna take a gamble, go with Duncan Hoffman to take the pole win in this session. We'll have a look at everyone's predictions in the live chat. We've got this refield saying Duncan maybe a 25.4. Otis with a 0.48 says Risto Hinsala. TCCB says Otis pole. So a lot of people saying Otis Lawrence to take pole position. Some shouts for Duncan Hoffland. No one saying Shanaka Clay first, at the minute, despite being on provisional pole. We've got 3.5 minutes left in this session. And Nathan, it should be a very exciting end to the to qualifying here.
Yep, can't wait. We've got 3 minutes left. As Chris Buxton would say, it's the Banzo phase of qualifying, of course. So we got obviously 9 drivers left to fight it out for pole. 8 of them have actually got lap times on the board. 7 of them in the 25s. But yeah, there is a big gap between Yanni and Shanaka. It's about it's nearly 0.5 of a second. So likes of Yanni and Declan and the 2 Hasses have got a lot of work to do in the remainder of this session to put themselves into a fight for at least the top 4, maybe onto a 0.6 or a 0.5. Duncan Hoffland is in this session a little bit unknown at the moment, but he hasn't actually set a lap time. Yet he did set a very good lap time in Q2. But obviously in Q3 he's a little bit of we'll see what he can do on his 8 lap. But the issue he's got is he's got 1 lap to do it. He's got no lap yet, so a lot of pressure is on him at the moment, isn't it?
Duncan Hoffman, he's a bit of a mystery heading into this session. He was incredibly quick in Q2, but then only set 2 laps. One of them was invalid, and then one of them was his initial lap time. He still was able to get himself into Q3 with that. That's why I've gone with him for pole position, but that could come out to bite me because I think pressure is going to be very high to get the lap on the board. Jed Norgrove has retired from the session due to his crash, I believe it was. Now everyone exiting out onto the circuit with just 2 minutes left to go. Piotr Stahalesi's are doing a bit more damage to the grid structure here. We are going to have a restart at the end of this session. Allow for us to digest qualifying properly. But Duncan Hoffland, first man out on circuit, no time on the board. He'll start 9th at the minute.
Yep, and I can see a few people in the chat was talking about people being, the fast guys being destroyed, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of it was the fact they chose to retire just so they could start from the back, maybe learn new things, have a bit of fun. Jarno unfortunately did get knocked out in Q2, and I believe he was actually competing as well for, pole position at that time. So it's unfortunate for him to be able. He's obviously got a lot of work to do. He's a very quick driver, so hopefully for him from 13th he can do a lot of work. But Duncan Hoffman will be the first in the other Mercedes to start the Q3 session off. As behind him is one of the Hasses, and then obviously everyone else is grouped up a little bit further back. So obviously Duncan Hoffman's got pretty much clean air now to begin his final lap. We've got 2 minutes each left of the session. There's a lot of pressure now on Duncan Hoffman to do a great lap as he heads down towards turn 1. Obviously got the DRS and then back up to 8th gear. And yeah, he's got a very good running towards that first corner. Down to 3rd, back onto the power as he comes through. The first set to Stafelek gets under the penalty. As we can see now, everyone else beginning their laps, all backing each other up at the end of that 3rd sector. So hopefully we get no incidents between those guys.
Yeah, Duncan's got nice clear air, so no one's going to be bothering him on his lap. The lone Mercedes in this session is teammate Jarno Otmir eliminated in Q2, and he's running in that George Russell car. And I think after his Singapore Grand Prix went earlier on this afternoon, then it might be a bad omen for Duncan Hoffman. But the approach is turn 11 now at the end of the first and the second DRS straight along this track. He's looking very quick, and a minute as he flies his way in towards this final part of the second sector where it gets very technical, very slow through here. You've got to really keep your wits about you because the corners do come at you very quickly, especially this chicane where you jump over the curb. Be careful. I mean, you'd think you'd be damaging your suspension going through there, but now it's 1 minute 0.397 for Duncan Hoffman in that first and second sector. That is allowing for him to go purple. However, still there's 8 other drivers behind him on circuit who are looking to improve as well. Now in towards the final sector here, the final 2 corners actually through here. Duncan Hoffman now off the exit, final turn for the final time in qualifying. He'll lay down the gauntlet. What is the lap time going to be for him? He's in 9th at the minute. He'll jump up to P3 for the time being. Not enough for pole position. My pick has gone alright. Hannah Gal then up next, comes across the line, marginally improving in that second sector. We'll see what he can do to keep the pin to the right side. He will stay in that place. He doesn't improve on his lap. Here comes Otis Lawrence. A lot of people pick for pole position. He's improving by almost a 10.5. Is now up towards the line at 1 minute 25.473 for Otis Lawrence. An incredible lap time coming out from him there. Is anyone going to be able to beat him? I have to wait and see. Declan Barrett now up next, coming towards the line. We'll see what he can do. He's only going to be P8 in this session. A little bit of lag there. I do apologise. There is P5 for Declan Barrett, who is coming up next to the line. We'll watch Ifan Pookie as Shinaka Clay across the line. Is not able to improve on his lap. Here comes Pookie. No improvement from him either. Valentin Bruvet going to be the last man to come across the line, but he's going to remain in P3. So that means Otis Lawrence is going to be on pole position in this session with Shanaka Clay starting in P2.
Yeah, it's a little bit of lag for me there. Declan's lap didn't for some reason come up till about till he crossed on about 10 seconds, well 5-6 seconds after. But there we are. Otis Lawrence on pole, Shanaka in second with Valentin in third. I think we had a very decent race ahead of us, and Declan Barrett P5 on his debut. You can't get any better than that.
Yeah, when his lap didn't come through, I got really worried for a second. Of course, I'm streaming from a new location. I can actually I'll bring us up. I'm streaming from a new location. If you didn't notice from last week, I've moved into my university home. Wi-Fi is a little bit sketchy here, so there is some lag issues here and there, and I really did think, Nathan, I was going to have a complete outage there for a sec, so it's a little bit nerve-wracking, but yeah, heading into this race now, we've got a little bit of time before the session actually does get underway due to the lobby restart being in place. Otis Lawrence on pole with Shanaka Clay in second. Some of the biggest names, being eliminated in Q1 and Q2 should make for an enthralling Grand Prix today.
It should. I'm excited to see how it goes. Obviously, lots of people in different positions where they normally are. Yeah, I think we're in. We're in for a great Grand Prix. Obviously, we've got different strategies to be played out as well. So, I think it's hard to presume who will be where on the grid, because obviously you've got the likes of Jarno, Lucas, Nicholas all working their way through. So some of the drivers who might not be as quick as us might drop down, but if they make mistakes, they might stay up there. So, yeah, I think it's quite hard to predict, and I think this is probably the best grid we've had this season in terms of how mixed up it is.
There's a lot of young talent on this grid mixed in with some of the veterans here in the F1 Esports scene, and I'm really excited to see how all of them do. But now, coming into this race, we've got multiple big names being eliminated in Q1 and Q2. Nathan, who do you think is going to be able to get up the order? One of them at least is going to be able to find a podium. Who's going that way?
I think the most likely one is Jarno Altmaier. So I'll say him, but I think also from the back, Lucas and Thomas, I think they got a good shot at getting some good points, depending if they can obviously make it work and they can keep out of trouble. So yeah, I think those three are the ones who I think will get into the good points. I've noticed before, I've seen Nico start further back, and sometimes it doesn't go well for him, unfortunately.
A little bit nerve-wracking then. I mean, he is still in the fight for the championship, so we'll have to wait and see how it all does work out. I mean, Jarno Altmaier, he just needs to finish the race, essentially. Lucas and Nico, they both need to win the race to be able to contend for the championship still heading into the final few rounds of the season. Jarno Altmaier basically just has to turn up, and it's looking like a win for him, but never say never. In the F1 Esports scene, it could still happen. We could still see a fight coming into Las Vegas, where, of course, we're heading next week. And it's going to be very exciting to see. Nathan, I'm just wondering, is the new lobby up so we can get in?
I don't know. I'm going to have a look now. Luke's in the lobby. Let's just see if it... Yeah, should be in. Let's hope there's no issues this time around. Loading in. And...
Yeah,
there we are.
I'm in the lobby. We're all in. Wonderful. We're just having a lobby restart for one of the ongoing issues that are currently existing in the F1 23 game, where if you're slowing down a little bit too much on your outlap, it ends up giving you a 5-place grid penalty. So we've had to adjust all that and then get back into this race. But if you are just joining us, some of the big names being eliminated in Q1 and Q2, bottom 5 in Q1 was Fabrizio Donoso, Danny Moreno, Nicholas Longe, Lucas Blakely, and Thomas Ronhoff, 5 of arguably the quickest drivers in the world at the minute. Jan Ortmir, the current championship leader, the 2-time F1 Esports champion and season 13 WOR champion, also being eliminated in Q2. Nathan, he could make history tonight. He could be the first ever 2-time PC WOR champion in the Tier 1 scene. I'm really excited to see how he gets on tonight.
Yeah, I think, well, I think the more saying is he is the first to get to, because in order for Lucas or Nicholas to win, we need an Abu Dhabi 21 type moment. That's the only way they're going to win. Otherwise, I'd be quite angry if Yana lost this. So just keep it calm and collected. Just complete the race. Don't let Nicholas and Lucas pass, and you're fine, essentially.
I think this title, it definitely will mean a lot to Jan Ortmir. He's worked incredibly hard over the course of this season, so I'm very much looking forward to see how he reacts to winning the WOR Season 15 Championship. And of course, it's been one of the most competitive grids we've had. We've got some of the esports greats. Lucas Blakely, he's raced the entire season. If you recall, all the way back to Season 13, Lucas Blakely, he turned up to the first 5 or 6 races in that season. He didn't turn up for the rest of the season, and because of how good he was, he won 4 races and came second once. He was still contending for the championship in the penultimate race. So, it's good to see that he's been here throughout most of the whole season. Nicholas Longe has been back and better than ever after his little bit of a Season 14 drought, where he wasn't able to retain his... he was Season 12 champion, didn't turn up for Season 13. He was a championship contender in Season 14. Sorry, I'm getting all of them mixed up, Nathan, but it's good to see that Nicholas Longe once again is back and fighting for the championship. And we've had some other drivers sprinkled in there. Otis Lawrence has been a bit of a maverick in F1 Esports at the minute and in the league racing scene, and it's been an incredibly fun season to commentate over.
Oh, Taz, yeah, I've obviously been here, kind of here, and I was here near the start, here in the middle, and obviously here near the end. It's been a great season to kind of follow on, giving us a viewer, to watch how it's all, how the story's played out the whole season. Obviously, Otis at one point you're thinking, can he win the championship? Then he had lots of incidents at one point of, I think it was Mexico, and I think there was another race as well, and it kind of then went all downhill for him. There was no fighting back from him there. Obviously, Nico and Lucas, they've had decent seasons. Obviously, I don't think Lucas has even been here for half the races, has he? So that's why he's also a little bit,
He's missed 6,
70 points back. That's quite a lot. And, well, Jarno, he's 70 points ahead. He's had a very consistent season. So I think he's definitely the rightful deserved champion this season for definite. I think it's more pretty much sealed than anything at the moment. But obviously, we've got to wait to see what happens in the race. Maybe Jarno DNS, maybe Lucas can win the race and the gap comes down to 50 points. We don't know. So we'll see what happens. I'm surprised we are getting in yet, because we're having to try and waffle along while we wait for one more person to join, which is one of the Red Bulls.
Who is it? Oh, it's Valentine.
Valentine.
I think he's had to restart his game, to be fair. I've seen in the bottom corner, because I've got him friended on Steam, it says he's now on F1 23. So, should hopefully not be too far from getting this race underway. If you weren't caught up on qualifying, is Otis Lawrence on pole position ahead of Shanaka Clay after some of the biggest names in WOR at the minute all got eliminated in Q1 and Q2. That should make for an incredibly exciting race of multiple drivers making their way up the order, and we'll see who ends up where. It's also a great opportunity for some of the unproven drivers in the F1 Esports scene to potentially fight their way up the order. Of course, we've got Declan Barrett making his PC Tier 1 debut, starting 5th this evening. He's been a part of the WOR scene for a long time now. Season 14 Xbox Tier 1 champion, I believe he was. And it's good to see that he's doing well this evening. So, Nathan, once again, it's just so exciting to see how this all plays out. Yeah,
and... Well, I'm kind of running out what to say at this point, because we've been waiting so long for the race to actually begin. Valentine, I believe, has just joined the lobby, so we can finally get underway. And then once we get underway, we can see what happens in the race. And 29 laps around this circuit. Who's your pick to win, Dan?
Oh, I don't know. I'm going to go with Jan Watmer. He's going to win this championship with a bang. I think he is going to take the win this evening, as the grid is just getting sorted at the minute. I'm getting PTSD flashbacks to last week, as when everyone was blaming me for some reason for the race not starting. I ended up getting a grid penalty, a time penalty, a qualifying ban at one point. I'm surprised I've not been kicked from the league. But yeah, the grid should be getting sorted now. I can see actually we got the timer on the very top of the screen, so we should hopefully be getting ready to go soon.
Yep. Well, you said you want me. I'm going to go from right at the back. I'm going to say Thomas Ronhaar from the back of the grid, last to first.
I mean, last week, Nathan, he wanted to do the same. He wanted to do a last to first, and it did not end well at all. He got damage in turn number 1, so maybe you've cursed him for the same fate this evening. We'll have to. We'll have to see what happens. We are about to load into this race, and we'll have a quick word from our sponsors at Virage.gg before we head in.
Yep.
Welcome back, everyone. Trackside here in WOR, getting ready for the start of this race. We're in that awkward period now, Nathan, where we just have to keep on talking and hoping for this race to get underway. But I think we could have a potential race of the season candidate on.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think we definitely got a chance to have the race of the season. So we'll see how it goes. I think around a track like this, it's quite, for me, I don't really know much about it. I haven't done much racing here at all, so I'm quite intrigued to see what this track can deliver. And yeah, we're in that awkward stage. We have to go just sit here and talk until we get underway. And even though we know it's coming, it always catches us off guard, doesn't it, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, it always does. It always catches me off mid-sentence, so maybe I'll try to predict it in just a few moments' time. After I make sure to remind everyone to subscribe to the WOR YouTube channel. We are 400 subscribers away from 17,000, and you could be a part of that very big milestone. So please let us know. I mean, yeah, as someone said in the chat, it's felt like a week ago since we passed 15k, because it's been about maybe 1 or 2 weeks since we got 15,000 subscribers. We had 9.5 thousand at the start of the season. The growth has been immense here in WOR as we're getting ready for 5 red lights here in Miami. Thomas Ronhaar with a drive-through penalty for jumping the start, but now off we go, getting ready for the start of this Grand Prix. Otis Lawrence leading the way in towards turn number 1 on a set of the hard compound tires. I believe most of the grid is, but now filing their way into the first sector. You can see Declan Barrett trying to get by on Duncan Hoffman, both of them fighting for P4, but at the front of the order, it's Otis Lawrence leading the way from Shanaka Clay in second. Third is Valentin Bruffair, now further back down the order. They're all swapping, chopping, and changing positions, Nathan.
Yeah, Jonas Hoffman on the soft tyres, also making contact there, I think, with Stahelek in towards turn 8, as that's also Istvan Pukki up the inside of Joni Tormala. On the hard tyres, hasn't had the best exit though, so he will lose that position. Now Luke Smith looking to get himself ahead of Istvan Pukki as well as they head down in towards turn 11, but lots of position changes everywhere. We've got Piazza Declan nearly going 3 wide with Joni Tormala, and that's Declan Barrett in towards turn 11. Declan loses 2 positions into 1 corner because he's on those hard tyres, and also loses the position to Istvan Pukki. Declan Barrett not having the side he would have wanted at one point, looking at P4, now he's down to P8, fight with Luke Smith for P9.
Side by side, but this Van Pukki in towards this very tight second sector. They're both going to run wide off the exit. Now Luke Smith looking to find an opportunity that's going to pack up the rest of the field further back behind us. Now look at them, they're running 2 by 2, Noah's Ark style off the exit of that second sector. Now Declan Barrett all over the rear of this Van Pukki. These guys sacrifice a lot of time further up the order. Joni Tormala, you can see him trying to go by on Duncan Hoffman for P4. Now Declan Barrett losing the position to Luke Smith, as now further back behind you can see Yannick Schmidt fighting it out with Danny Moreno and Nicolas Longue. Of course, all of those guys starting a lot further down than you would expect. Now look at Jed Norgrove once again going for it on Declan Barrett. Has the Alfa Romeo, has he got some wing damage or something? Because this is an unheard ofly poor start, because now he started in 8th all the way, in 5th all the way now down into 12th. Has he gone wide through the first corner? Indeed he has.
Yeah, surely he's got damage. He's had a really poor start. He's gone off track. He's now down to 13th under pressure from Philip Presneder as well, as we head through towards the end of this first section. But yeah, really poor start. Such a good qualifying, but it's ended so badly for him. He's dropped down 7 positions already. just in one lap. And I'm still keen on watching Joni Tourmaline to see what he can do. He's on those soft tyres. He's already on the back of Valentine Brevet to put himself into the provisional P3 spot. Obviously, he's on the softer tyres. He will be quicker. The issue that Joni will have is when it comes to the end of the race, he'll be on harder tyres, so he's going to have a lot of work to do when it comes to that final stint. Valentine's going to try and fight back in towards turn 11. He backs off, so he doesn't try and fight it back. He knows he'd rather just stick behind for now. And now you can see Joni Tourmaline looking to try and chase down for the lead. It's Otis Lawrence leading ahead of Shanaka Clay in second, then obviously Joni into the top 3, and this Van Pook needs to speed up quickly because he's already nearly outside the 1 second gap to Duncan Hoffland. Now that would not be ideal at all in this race, especially when it comes to just, well, the DRS isn't even open yet, so when the DRS opens, being outside of it would really harm you in this race.
Yeah, the first taste of it is going to be next time by, heading in towards turn number 11. It's Van Pookie just about holding on to that DRS range. Here's Shanaka Clay looking to the inside of Otis Lawrence for the lead of the Grand Prix. He doesn't want to deal with the charging Joni Tourmaline in behind, but now in towards the beginning of lap number 3, we have a new race leader. It's Shanaka Clay leading the way ahead of Otis Lawrence, who's got Joni Tourmaline pressuring him right from behind, and now in towards turn number 1. They're going to be 3 wide through here, but it is Joni Tourmaline going up the inside of the pair of them, and the Finn, the father himself, makes the move stick, but no, Shanaka Clay off the exit, going to be able to fight that one back. He got the switchback move on Joni Tourmaline, who went very deep in towards turn number 1, and in comes Otis Lawrence, but in towards this first sector where these grippy or soft tyres are going to be paramount through here. It is going to be very difficult for him to make that move stick, and we'd expect Joni to potentially fight back for the lead.
Yeah, definitely. A bit of contact between Joni and Shanaka, but they all made it through. There was nearly going sideways through that first corner. But Otis Lawrence has got a great run on Joni Tourmaline as they head down in towards turn 11, but also Sahalek's also got a great run on Otis Lawrence. We'll see how this emerges as they head down to turn 11. 3 wide. Nearly going to make it 4 wide because also we've got Sahalek getting involved, but he backs off a little bit because he knows he doesn't want to send it 3 wide. He's made a bit of contact there with Otis Lawrence, and Shanaka Clay going wide, very deep in towards that corner, and they all fall through. 4 of them coming through together. Now Shanaka Clay down to P4 as Piotr Stahelek sends it up the inside, gets himself into the top 3. And now it's Joni Tourmaline in the lead ahead of Otis Lawrence and Piotr Stahelek. Not a good start there. Well, good section of track there for Shanaka Clay. He's now under pressure from Valentine Brevet, who was on the, I believe, he's in 3rd. He's now down to 5th position. Duncan Hoffland's side 4th. He's now down to P6.
This race beginning to stabilise at the minute though. Here comes Jed Norgrove making the move on Luke Smith, heading in towards the final few corners along this lap on the medium tyres. He's done well to get up the order so far. Jed Norgrove, I believe, starting in 15th, now all the way up into, actually no, he started in 10th position. Of course, he had that crash in Q3, apologies there, but yeah, he's made his way up the order a little bit, and now look at the fights once again heading in towards turn number 1. That's Piotr Stahelek's now overtaking Otis Lawrence for P2, but of course you have to remember these guys are on the softs and the mediums. Joni and Piotr, they're both going to have to pit a lot earlier than the likes of Otis Lawrence, Shanaka Clay and Valentine Brevet, so it is still a very long race. We're only on lap number 4 of 29. Nathan, still everything to play for.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened to Thomas Ron Harvey. He's 12.2 seconds back. Oh wait, he must have started his drive-through. Yeah, but my pick for pole didn't go very well. I mean, pick for the win didn't go very well, did it at all, did it, Dan?
that might have been a commentator's curse. I mean, you know what, mate? My pick to win it. He's still in the fight at the minute. He's down in P10, but he's made up a few places. I believe he started all the way down in 13th. Now he's all the way up into 10th. He's capitalised on the mistakes from the likes of Thomas Gow and Declan Barrett. So he's done well to get himself up into P10. We'll see how this race continues along. We're still only on lap number 4. We've got 3,000 viewers currently watching at the minute. If you are just joining us, you know what, mate, in this position will be your season 15 champion, Lucas Blakely and Nicholas Longue. They have to win to stay in contention. If it stays like this, even if they finish 2nd and 3rd, you know what, mate, no matter where he finishes, will be winning this championship. So we'll see how that works out. You know what, mate, speaking of the devil, he's going for the move potentially on Luke Smith, who's attacking now. It's Van Pookie around the outside. Will the Dutchman try and capitalise on this opportunity? We'll have to wait and see as now they file their way on towards lap number 5 of this Grand Prix. The Dutchman along the outside of both this Van Pookie and Luke Smith, 3 wide, heading in towards turn number 1. Who's going to come out on top? I believe that it is Jarno Opmeer. Indeed it is. The Flying Dutchman, the 2-time F1 Esports champion, is now Yannick Schmitz had a spin down at turn 1.
Yeah, great move there from Jan Opmeer to put himself up 2 positions in that one corner. Very good job. Obviously, you could see he sat back a bit. He didn't bother attacking in towards turn 17. He sat back, let those 2 battle, then just charge around the outside on Isfan and Luke Smith. As you look a little bit further up, Jed Norgrove looking for a move possibly on Duncan Hoffland. He was right in the back of Duncan last lap in that middle set, but this time around he's only a couple of tenths further back, as you can now see. Isfan Pookie yet again looking to get back from Jarno Opmeer. He's gaining very quickly as they head down in towards turn 11, and you can see Luke Smith as well within a 10 of Isfan Pookie into this next corner. And Luke went for a little bit of a dive bomb, had to set back because he knew he wasn't close enough to make it work. as they went through in towards that 90-degree left-hand corner. And Jono now already right on the back of Jed Norgrove, and it seems that Jono is one of the fastest on track. He's got a lot of pace. You can see he's having to like sit back in the corners because he just can't push enough, otherwise he's going to end up going into the back of Jed Norgrove.
Jan Ortman's doing a fantastic job this evening. Let's have a look at the ERS situations at the front of the order. Joni Tormala coming under pressure from Piotr Stahelec. That's an easy move then for the Polish driver, getting himself up into the lead for the first time of this Grand Prix. He's got about double the ERS that Joni does have in behind. Otis Lawrence sitting on almost a full battery at this point, as is Shanaka Clay, as the Valentin Bruffer and Duncan Hoffman. Jed Norgrove, though, you can see 17% on the battery. He's really having to push to keep up with these runners. Now Luke Smith losing position to Will Lewis. I normally get those two names mixed up because they're still fighting it out. Heading in towards turn number 1. I think Luke Smith has just been able to hold on to that position. Tamas Gal now looking into the fight as well.
Yeah, no, Will Lewis went deep and nearly took out his Van Pook. You know what I mean? I thought he was going to take him out. He was that close. He went deep. Luckily, broke in time. Luke Smith got back through, and he's got Tamas Gal right behind. So that was a close call there for Will Lewis and his Van Pook. Looking a little bit further back up to the top. Otis Lawrence gaining very quickly on Joni Tormala. Now, have these tyres died? Because look at that, Joni's. It seems like he's not even using his DRS down there until quite a late moment, and he's now dropped down to P3.
He's getting swallowed up at the minute by the rest of the pack. Now Piotr leads ahead of Otis Lawrence. Joni Tormala got himself into the lead, now down into third, as now Luke Smith and Will Lewis once again fighting it out. Will is going on the attack on Luke Smith into this final part of the second sector. You can see how they're fighting it out so hard, keep making contact between the pair of them. Luke Smith still going to be able to come out on top there. I always get those two names mixed up and end up saying Will Smith, but not today, not today. Is now heading down the straight once again. We'll have a look at Shanaka Clay as he is now on the attack on Joni Tormala. 5 laps into this race, 6 laps, sorry. Joni's tyres seemingly, Nathan, absolutely dead.
Oh, VSC.
Huh?
Will Lewis, maybe? Oh, what's happened? Oh, what's happened here? Oh, they're all entering the pit lane. What? Oh, this is...
Wing?
Who?
Will doesn't have a front wing.
What? Well, I just saw... that's weird.
I'm dumbfounded. We looked away for a second, Nathan, honestly. Will Lewis retires in the pit lane. A massive loss to this Grand Prix, unfortunately. What has happened there? I mean,
there was like 10 of them together.
They were just bunched up. I have no idea what happened. If anyone in the live chat is tuned in to any other drivers, any of their POVs, DRS now enabled. I didn't know it wasn't enabled, but yeah, if anyone is tuning in to any of the streams
again. Oh no, was there an issue?
Huh?
The VSC went back in, but it's gone back out for me.
I think we might be racing now. The VSC is now gone, and we're back to racing conditions. A very, very confusing scenes here. The F1 23 game once again serving us up a treat as we're seeing multiple battles heading in towards the end of the second sector. Not too sure what's happened, but we do know that Jan Ortman, Luke Smith, and Tamas Gal have all pitted onto a set of the mediums.
I've just found it out at the bottom of the screen. Oh my god, people never fail to try and entertain. Right, Duncan Hoffman on the back of Joni Tormala trying to put himself into towards P5. Does so. Joni's really starting to slow down, isn't he? He's really losing positions. And Otis takes the lead from Piotr Stahelec in towards turn 17. Lots of position changes here, and normally you see people stay behind, but on this circuit, everyone's just overtaking each other, aren't they?
Yeah, at this point, I mean, it's just a melee down on circuit at the minute. We're on lap number 8. Here comes Piotr Stahelec once again on Otis Lawrence heading in towards turn number 1. I think Otis going to be able to hold that lead. I think at this point, though, 8 laps into the Grand Prix, the hard's definitely going to be the quicker tyres. Now, 2 former PlayStation rivals of Duncan Hoffman and Valentin Bruffer looking to do battle for P4 at the minute on circuit. Duncan Hoffman going to get the better of Valentin heading in towards the first sector where it's so difficult to make any moves. You can see Jed Norgrove all over the back of his Alpha Tauri teammate. Joni Tormala really struggling with the tyres. It seems like he's leading the race just like 2 laps ago. Now it's all the way down into P6. Make that P7 because here comes Jed Norgrove attacking, heading down this DRS straight and in towards turn 11. Jed Norgrove going to be able to make that move stick. Joni not really putting up much of a fight. The Alpha Tauris have swapped positions. Yeah,
those tyres have died instantly, it seems like. They went from being perfectly fine to all of a sudden, big drop off, and he's now down to 7th, even looking at possibly losing the position to his Van Pookie as well, as that was Jano Otmir getting ahead of Yannick Schmidt. Obviously, Jano was one of those to pit, along with Luke Smith and Tamas Gal, onto a new set of mediums. So they are really going for the gamble, aren't they, in this race?
It's going to be very interesting to see if Jan Otmir will be able to make it to the end of this Grand Prix. I wonder if he's once again testing things out, seeing how long the medium tyres actually last. He's purple at the minute, so he's the quickest man out on track. Yeah, he's got a long way until he's up to the back of the pack. He's 5.8 seconds to the rear of Danny Moreno. However, pitting, of course, now, Nathan, he under the VSC, he has saved so much time, and he's essentially getting a massive undercut on everyone as now Luke Smith gets through on Yannick Schmidt. Jan Otmir, we really do have to look out for him as now Luke Smith, the fastest man out on circuit, takes that fast lap away.
Yeah, as Luke and Yannick still fighting towards turn 1, it seems like that time Yannick backed out, let Luke back through towards P16. Obviously, Jan and Luke now will be a lot quicker than anyone in the field because they have just pitted onto a set of medium tyres, 2-lap olds for them, everyone else on either 8-lap old mediums, 8-lap old softs, or 8-lap old hards. As you come through, I'm looking at Lucas Blakely, very close to the back of Nicholas Longa as they head through now in towards turn 11 shortly with that DRS. And Philip Presnay looking to get himself ahead of Declan Barrett, who's somehow got himself back into P10.
With all the pit stops coming out, I think Declan Barrett, he's done a good job in this race. He's ahead of the drivers that he was ahead of before, and he's really been able to sort of solidify himself in this pack. However, Philip Presnay is going to be able to go at the inside. Declan really didn't put up too much of a fight heading into that turn 11 corner. Now Philip Presnay, he gets himself up a position into a better point scoring scenario. As now we're having a look at Nicholas Longa and Lucas Blakely. We expected them, Nathan, to make a lot of moves, but really it's just not been the case. They've sort of stagnated a bit in this Grand Prix despite making up 11 places. 3 drivers behind have all changed tyres, and one of them's DNF'd as well. So, oh dear, now Istvan Pukki's around. Oh, what's happened there? Istvan's gone for a spin.
Yeah, he got spun around. I think someone broke too late and went into the back of him. Then I just saw everyone pulse from like, oh no. And I thought for a minute it was Nicholas Longa as Lucas Blakely ahead of Philip Presnay. Maybe he was the one involved in that collision down at turn 17 with Yannick Schmidt in the pits as well. Oh, so this race is very confusing, isn't it, Dan? I'm starting to struggle to think what's going on.
I think what happened there was that Philip Presnay, he must have gone into the back of Istvan Pukki, because now Philip he's lost 3 places in that altercation, so I think surely something's gone wrong with him now. I'm going to have a look at his Alpine, see if there's any front wing damage potentially onto his car. It doesn't look like it. You can see just behind him Fabrizio Donoso and Danny Moreno fighting it out for P12 in this Grand Prix. It's going to be Fabrizio getting the better of Danny heading in towards turn 11, but I'm wondering if either of them are going to go on the attack on Philip Presnay, who has potential front wing damage now on lap number 10 of 29. It's 20 to go in this Grand Prix, Nathan. Still plenty of laps left to be had, still multiple battles that we are yet to see, but still at the front of the order. It's been a constant for a good few laps now. Piotr Stahelec leading this Grand Prix.
Yeah, big shame there for Declan Barrett with a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That was down, I believe, at that uphill chicane section. So big shame for him. It's just not gone his way at all for Declan. He's had some great pace, but outside things have just, it's not worked at all for him. But that's the battle. Then we've got Duncan Hoffland right on the back of Shinaka Clay. So Fabrizio Donoso ahead of Presnay. Jan Otmir ahead of Istvan Pukki, who's dropped down again as he made a mistake again. No, he's not. He's just lost positions down that back straight. He's going to send it on Luke Smith, however, in towards turn 17. Piotr Stahelec into the pits. So he's done those mediums. He'll be onto a set of hard tyres now to take those for the next 18 laps of the Grand Prix. We'll see where he drops back to. He'll be, I think, maybe just ahead of Thomas Ronhaar, or just behind, I think.
I think Thomas might get the better of Piotr off the exit of the pit lane. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, Thomas Ronhaar can be able to stay ahead, or get ahead of Piotr Stahelec, who's gone from the lead of this race now down into P17. It's a Haas 17-18 at the minute in the Grand Prix, so Gunther Steiner taking his anger out on his desk at the minute, but still a long way to go. Still plenty of drivers yet to pit in this Grand Prix, but you can see now Jan Otmir essentially with that is the net race leader. Never mind, it's going to be Luke Smith net race leader, because he's gone up the inside and towards turn number 11. Jan Otmir really doesn't do much to defend that position. He knows he's got the pace to fight him back later on in the Grand Prix. You can see Declan Barrett now and Joni Tourmala scrapping it out towards the technical end of this second sector. Declan is going to be able to get by on Joni Tourmala. That is when youth beats veterancy, and Declan is up into P6. He's done well this evening despite getting a time penalty to his name. Still a chance that he gets that removed, but of course we'll have to wait and see what the stewards have to say about it. Still though, lap number 11 of 29, Otis Lawrence now leading the way.
Yep, Stahelec's looking for a move on Thomas Ronhaar now as they head down with the DRS in towards turn 17, Lucas Baker there making a move on Fabrizio Donoso, and you can see there Sahalek needs to have a head of Ron Har, obviously 10 lap old difference on tyres, but Ron Har's still going to try and fight it back. Is it enough? No, it's not. He has to concede to that, and literally you comment on one battle and many more emerge, as this time we're looking at Yoni Tormala on the back of, well, being overtaken by Nicholas Longay. Surely Yoni should be thinking about making a pit stop as Lucas Blakely also overtakes the AlphaTauri. Now Fabrizio Donoso also looking to overtake that AlphaTauri. Those softs are absolutely shot now. He needs to make a pit stop. Luke Smith ahead of Danny Moreno in towards turn, I believe this is turn 5 and 6. And you can see these medium tyres for Jarno and Luke working very well.
They're not going to last forever though. They're already 5 laps old and they've still got to go a very long way in this Grand Prix. So it was a very early stop for both Luke Smith and Jarno Opmeer, as now Fabrizio Donoso gets through on Yoni Tormala for P10. Jarno Opmeer through on his former Mercedes teammate. Danny Moreno down in to 14th. Here he goes. Oh, whoa, Philip Presneder almost completely stopped on circuit there. Jarno Opmeer, lightning quick reactions. Had to get out of the way there. I just went on board with the Dutchman and then I see an Alpine essentially stopped in the way. Jarno Opmeer, he was like a cat there.
I nearly jumped out my seat there. That was
Philip jumped
perfect from Jarno. Well,
oh my god! And the race continues on now. The move for the lead of the Grand Prix. Oh dear! Duncan Hoffland's gone for a spin. What is happening now? Duncan Hoffland has gone up the inside of Otis Lawrence. He's gone for a spin and he's losing a number of positions now. More drivers going off track. I believe that's Yoni Tormala finally coming into the pit lane here. Nathan, this race is it's a bit confusing to watch.
Yeah. Well, at this rate, Nicholas Longay and Lucas Blakely might win it. They're sitting in 6th and 7th now. They was 18th and 19th 10 laps ago.
I mean,
what has this race been?
I have no clue at this point, Nathan. I really don't. But we'll try and just commentate whatever is in front of us at the minute. There's battles everywhere. I look one way and there's a move being made somewhere else. I do apologise for the shoddy cam work this evening. Have a look at Lucas Blakely on the back of Nicholas Longay. These two fighting for P2 in the championship at this point. They seem to have accepted that Jarno Opmeer is uncatchable at this point. These two, though, still very close in the championship, just separated by 2 points. Lucas Blakely on 1-2-3, Nicholas Longay on 1-2-1. So it's very tight between these two, and every position in their fight does matter, Nathan.
Yeah, well, it's from Pookie, looking for a move on Duncan Hoffland, who's, I don't know if he's got damage there, or his tyres are a little bit warm from that spin. But yeah, lots of changes throughout the grid. Luke Smith looking to get himself ahead now of Lucas Blakely in towards turn 17. He's got the inside line. Lucas hasn't got much to fight with those tyres. Brakes later. Has he got the move? Lucas is going to try and hold it as Jarno Opmeer goes for a send. Nearly makes contact with Lucas Blakely after overtaking Fabrizio Donoso in towards turn 17. They come through out of the final corner now, up towards turn 1. And Jarno Opmeer needs to get himself ahead of his championship protagonist as they head down towards turn 1. You can see there, everyone having to lift off a bit so they don't hit into the back of each other. Into that braking zone at turn 1. Duncan Hoffland into the pit lane. He'll be heading onto a set of medium tyres, or should be onto a set of medium tyres in his races now. Luke Smith looking to get himself ahead of Nicholas Longay. Obviously, on a lot of better tyres, should easily make that move as he goes up the inside in towards turn 7. The long left-hander into P6 it goes for Luke Smith. Then it's Lucas Blakely looking to get himself ahead of Nicholas Longay, and then the championship leader, the 3 of them all together, 7, 8 and 9.
Well, if it stays like this, Jarno Opmeer is winning the WOR Season 15 Championship. Is now in towards turn number 11. They really don't want to fight at this point in the Grand Prix. Never mind, Jarno Opmeer up the inside. There is a move on Lucas Blakely. A very late lunge up the inside for Jarno Opmeer. He wants to get the most out of these medium tyres before they are completely shot by the end of the Grand Prix. Very nice overtake for Jarno to go at the inside of Lucas there, and I'd imagine he'll be all over the back of Nicholas Longay heading in towards turn number 18. We'll see what the Dutchman can do. He's got more grip off the exit of the corner, fighting his rival that has been for most of this season. And now Luke Smith to see further up the road looking for a move on Declan Barrett. Jarno Opmeer is going to go for a Hail Mary send into the corner. Doesn't look like at this point at the front of the order. Once again, Otis Lawrence leading this race once again as he gets by on Shanika Clay, and Luke Smith's been able to get by on Declan Barrett. Nathan, there's 3 overtakes on 3 separate parts of the circuit. It's so hard for us to follow here.
It is as Jarno Opmeer sends on Nicholas Longay towards turn 1, puts himself into P7 ahead now of the 2 championship protagonists, who at this point aren't going to win. So Yana will be champion as we head through. Look at Luke Smith on the back of Jed Norgrove. Obviously, is pitted. Lucas pitted. No one else has. He's already looking for the lead. So this has been a great strategy for Luke and Yana, as long as those tyres make the end of the race. Otherwise, that could be a failed strategy indeed. Luke Smith up the inside of Jed Norgrove there. Lucas Blakely up the inside of Nicholas Longay to put himself into P8. Lots of position changes still, with all these different tyre compounds making an appearance. Jono Ottmeier up the inside of Declan Brown to put himself into P6. Could he also get himself ahead of maybe Jed and Luke as they head down to turn 11? Jono Ottmeier, great straight line speed up the inside of Jed Norgrove. And will he go for Luke? No, he can't. He's a little bit too further back to get himself ahead of the Alpine, but he does put himself into the top 5 and now right behind Luke Smith. And the 3 ahead, Valentin Shinaka and Otis Lawrence, the race leaders, about to be overtaken by Luke Smith and Jono Ottmeier, who will become the race leaders.
Well, if they wanted to, they could pit and be in the fight for the win of this Grand Prix. Piotr Stahelec is, I believe, going to be the net leader if Luke Smith and Jono Ottmeier decide to pit, but they've essentially made this strategy work really well. They've been able to pit under the VSC, catch up to the pack, work their way through and get themselves into a top 5 position. Once they all pit and strap on a fresh set of the tyres, they should be in and around that top 10 position and have much fresher tyres than everyone else in the pack. So I think if Luke Smith and Jono Ottmeier decide to stay and pit as Declan Barrett he's the first hard runner to come in after 15 laps on that set. But if Luke and Jono decide to pit at some point in this race, Nathan, they are going to be so incredibly competitive. This strategy, once the VSC came out, has worked a treat for them.
Definitely. And Una Martins tells us in the chat that the mediums won't make it to the end. It will be a 2-stop. That does make sense, yes. And well, I think this is one of the first times in this game where we've actually said the 2-stop for many drivers is the way to go. As now Luke Smith up the inside of Valentin Bruffair in towards turns 7 and 8, gets himself a nice position there. And now Jono Ottmeier gets an advantage of Valentin's bad exit. He'll be looking to put himself into P4 in this race. It's like watching the 2 Mercedes earlier on charge through the field to try and put themselves into the line for victory. And now Jono might even get himself ahead of Luke Smith as they head into turn 11. It's the outside line there for the Mercedes of Jono Ottmeier. Gets himself around the outside, breaks, nearly takes out Shootout Clay into turn 11. That was a close call between the Mercedes and the Williams as they head through, and Luke Smith just about to put himself back ahead of Jono Ottmeier, and that could have ended in tears.
Jono Ottmeier, I mean, that was incredibly close to absolute disaster for him and potentially putting his championship hopes in jeopardy for winning this evening. However, he's been able to avoid disaster by running ever so slightly wide and allowing for Luke Smith to maintain that position. Jed Norgrove is all over the back of Valentin Bruffair. Fair play as well to Jed Norgrove, taking these medium tyres. 15 laps so far in this Grand Prix. When are we expecting pit stops to come out? There's Otis Lawrence coming into the pits. There's Luke Smith as well. So it's the 2-stop for Luke Smith. I believe Nicholas Longay in behind is also coming into box for Richard and Oso too. So this is the pit window for the hard runners in this Grand Prix. 17 laps, 16 laps for most, 17 for Shanaka Clay, Valentin Bruffair, Lucas Blakely, Philip Presley and Danny Moreno. They've all done a fantastic job of making this set last. As now we'll have a look, see who is able to benefit the most from this strategy. You can see Piotr Stahelec essentially, Nathan, is your net race leader.
Yeah, he's in P8. And obviously Jarno's going to have to pit again, surely, on those mediums, so he'll pit along with probably Shanaka and Valentin and Jed. But the top part at the moment is Shanaka Clay, Jono Ottmeier, Valentin Bruffair, Jed Norgrove and Lucas Blakely. None of them at the moment are making moves because they're kind of all spread out now. Others have gone into the pits, but a little bit further back you can see positions are being made. We've got Declan Barrett on the back of Luke Smith, obviously 1 lap older tyres. But Declan Barrett means his tyres are worn, has to back off there. So he didn't end up going into the wall after trying to battle Luke Smith. And now he's got the outside line in towards turn 11. Can he get himself into P12? Surely he can. And they're pushing nearly into the wall. Into turn 11. Declan Barrett with the outside line, sorry. He actually locks up and goes a little bit too deep. That puts him under pressure, possibly, from Joni Tourmala, who gets a penalty. 3-second penalty for Joni Tourmala. And what could have been for him has now ended in tears because he's going to have to end up dropping back probably a few positions with that penalty.
Tourmala, very unfortunate to get the penalty there. I was riding on board with Declan Barrett. Luke Smith really did not want to give him any space whatsoever, as now Otis Lawrence goes through on Thomas Ronvar, Shanaka Clay, Valentin Bruffair, Jed Norgrove. They're all deciding to come into the pit lane. Jono Ottmeier though staying out an extra lap at least, so is Lucas Blakely, Philip Presnader and Danny Moreno. So Piotr Stahelec's going to be making up a few more places in this Grand Prix. We'll see what Luke Smith is able to do. He has got through now on Thomas Ronvar. He's all over the back of Otis Lawrence. Otis, for most of this race, has been leading Luke Smith after starting. Where did he start? He started down in 11th after being eliminated in Q2. He's now got himself into potentially a race-winning position. Really opportunistic, took the gamble to go onto the mediums, and it has paid an absolute treat He is reaping what he sowed. He's doing really well this evening. We'll see how this fight develops later on in the Grand Prix, because of course Piotr Stahelec is now Danny Moreno gets through on Philip Prez, because Piotr pitted a lot earlier. It is going to be very easy for the likes of Otis, Luke, Declan to all catch up to the rear of the Haas driver and potentially overtake him later on in the race when his tyres are completely cooked.
Yeah, but now I'm starting to think, you know what, he's going to go for a set of soft tyres, because he's, you know, there's 11 laps after the race. He does one more lap. He could do, well, I think Jarno Tormler did about 14 laps on his soft, so Jarno could go into the soft zone and have a good charge through the field, compared to obviously all those apart from Jed Norgrove onto a set of medium tyres. As I'm watching Philip Pressner, though, backing off there from overtaking Danny Moreno in towards turn 17, a little bit further back. We can see a little bit of battle evolve between Shanaka Clay, Thomas Ronhart and Nicholas Longue in towards turn 17. Nicholas Longue up the inside. Now Shanaka Clay did pass Ronhart before the corner, and we've got Lucas and Pierre Philippe into the pits. Nicholas ahead of Thomas, now also trying to get himself ahead of Shanaka Clay, and then Istvan Pukki also in a great run in this race so far, currently sitting nets, I think P5 or P6 so far, obviously because of penalties from many other drivers. Nicholas Longue takes the fastest lap a little bit further up. You can see Istvan Pukki up the inside of Jarno Tormler into turn 1, puts himself into provisional P5-ish, now ahead of Jarno, and Shanaka Clay also looking to gain, as well as Nicholas Longue, and then Jed Norgrove, he's on the soft. Has Jed Norgrove got an issue? Because he's backed off completely. He's letting everyone through, he's got damage.
He's got damage somewhere there. He's now missing his front right end plate. You just mentioned him, and all of a sudden he's losing a number of places. No VSC, no safety car is going to be deployed. I think Jed Norgrove has just got to get back to the pits at the end of this lap. I mean, what has happened there to the Alpha Tauri driver? He looked to be in a great position, by the way, after extending that medium stint as long as possible. Now more moves being made at front of the order. Otis Lawrence gets through on Tash Gal. Luke Smith follows him through, but Jed Norgrove, we're commending him for how well he was doing on stretching that medium stint to go onto the soft at the end of the Grand Prix, and it was all in vain after picking up that wing damage with coming up to 10 laps to go. Heartbreak for him, I'd say.
Yeah, big shame there for Jed Norgrove. He's looking in a good position to at least score some decent points in this race, and big send there into turn 11 from Nicholas Longue, and Jarno Tormler puts himself into P10, and Jed's got a penalty, so he'll go back to pits and probably retire from this race, unfortunately for him. Luke Smith on the back of Otis Lawrence. Remember, these two are pretty much fighting for the lead of the race. Danny Moreno into the pit lane. Jarno what me stays out. He's surely going to go into a set of softs. He surely can't make it to the end on those tyres. Surely not. But if he does, well done.
It's going to be a very big ask, but I think regardless, his tyres are going to be completely cooked by the end of this Grand Prix. So Jarno Opmeer really does have to think about coming into the pit lane very soon, but I guess it's not about winning this race for him, as now Declan Barrett gets through on Tamas Gal. It's just about securing all the knowledge that he can for F1 Esports coming up, and as well taking the championship along with that. I guess that'd be a nice addition to his race this evening. But yeah, Jarno Opmeer, I'm not really sure if he's actually looking to fight for the win of this race. We might have to look slightly further down the order now, because Istvan Pukki on a charger at the minute, trying to get through on Tamas Galas. Now I think Shanaka Clay is trying to follow the Hungarian driver through. A race winner so far this season. Istvan Pukki's been incredibly impressive here, sitting 5th in the standings, now taking the fight to a very experienced F1 Esports driver in Shanaka Clay. Shanaka's looking up the inside of him in towards the end of this second sector. Now he's going to have the outside for the chicane, but that'll switch to the insiders now. Istvan Pukki really can't afford to fight that one back anymore. Shanaka Clay with 3-lap fresher tyres going to be easily able to make that, well, actually not easily. Istvan gave him a very nice fight, but yeah, he's able to make that move sick. I think Nicholas Longue now going on the attack of his teammate with 2-lap fresher tyres. Istvan Pukki, really, there's no point fighting this one out.
No, there's not. It's Nicholas Longue now into P7. As Jarno Opmeer, the race leader now pits onto probably a set of soft tyres. Jarno has got a lot of work to do in this race. He's got 8 laps to push, and he's got to do qualifying laps. That's what he's got to do now at this stage of race. And he goes, oh no, he goes onto mediums. Okay, so he must have not had enough softs left to compete, or he doesn't think the softs will be good enough to make the end. So interesting there from Jarno, but we'll see what happens.
I'd have thought the softs could last to the end of the race. We've got 9 laps to go in this Grand Prix. We saw Jarno Tormler take like 12 something laps earlier on today, so I'm just curious as to why Jarno Opmeer doesn't decide to go onto a set of the softs. Regardless, he's going to have a lot more pace than the medium runners in front of him. Tamas Gal is now losing a number of positions. He pitted under the VSC earlier on in the race, if you remember, and he is getting swallowed up by the pack at the minute. He has to pit at some point, as now Fabrizio Donoso looking for the move on Yoni Tormala. Shanaka Clay scrapping it out with Declan Barrett, as well as overtakes everywhere along here. There's Lucas Blakely up the inside of both Valentin Bruffer and now Yoni Tormala in towards the end of the second sector. Lucas Blakely up into 9th position. Fabrizio Donoso ahead of him, but they have lost 1.1 seconds to Istvan Pukki up ahead of the road. So actually Fabrizio likely not going to have DRS down this backtrack. I think he's actually just been able to sneak back into that 1 second window that he needs, but very touch and go as to whether he actually got the DRS there. Nevertheless, he is going to be able to open that rear wing, and he'll be catching back up to Istvan Pukki ahead of him.
Great job. And now I'm starting to think, look at the front. Stahalek, surely he can make the end on those sides, but do you think he can keep Otis and Luke behind?
I think there's no, surely not. There's three DRS zones along this circuit, and there's of course that really twisty first sector. And when you're losing that speed in that first sector, Otis Lawrence, Luke Smith, Shanaka Clay, they're going to be all over the back of you through there. And once you get the bad run out of turn number 7 or 8, I believe that is, where he's actually approaching now, once he's slow through there and off the exit, Otis is going to be able to pounce easily. You can just see the difference in time gained that Otis Lawrence has made through that first sector. He's gone down by about 3.2 at the beginning of this lap, if I'm not mistaken. It's now 2.7, 2.6. So Otis Lawrence catching at a rate of knots. Luke Smith following in behind and having the ERS situation for both of these guys. They've got plenty of it. So I think it's going to be a big ask for Piotr to hold on to these positions. But if he finds himself in a DRS train, maybe, Nathan, he could see himself maybe scoring a podium or maybe a top 5.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just looking at Lucas Blakely. He's trying to get himself ahead of Istvan Pukki through this middle sector. He's got some great pace on those 3-lap old mediums, all scurrying through. That at the end of that second sector, that uphill chicane there, great exit there for Lucas Blakely on the back of Istvan Pukki to the inside line with the slipstream and the DRS. He's now going to head down towards turn 17 and put himself probably into P8. But Istvan is going to fight it back as they head down now in towards this next corner. Who will be ahead? Will it be Lucas? Will it be Istvan? I think Lucas is going to have to send it. Yes, he does send it on the back there, but Istvan's going to get a good run out of the corner. Is it enough? I don't think it will be. No, great job there from Lucas Blakely into P8 now. He's got to get himself ahead of Fabrizio Donoso, because Fabrizio is 1.1 seconds out from Declan. That's not enough for DRS. Jarno Opmeer, fastest lap for 28.239, and he's now down into P12. He's down in P12. He's going to try and work his way through. Big side there from Duggan Hoffland, who goes a little bit deep in towards turn 1. Puts Tamas Gal right on his rear as they head through, and Tamas Gal, 16 lap old mediums. He's doing a great job to keep those on, still without a puncture. Great lap, great job from him.
Going to try to go to the end of this race, I think, but it's not going to end up well for him whatsoever. Tamas Gal, I think he's really dashed any hope of getting points in this Grand Prix by staying out this late. It really is unfortunate to see, but nevertheless, he'll keep on trucking. I mean, he's done well. He's coped brilliantly so far this evening, but now Danny Moreno is all over the back of him. His apologies. I keep pressing the escape key on my keyboard, but yeah, Lucas Blakely up ahead, gets the move done on Fabrizio Donoso. Donoso does have a penalty to his name, so he is going to lose a number of places once the race does come to an end. Istvan Pukki trying to make a move stick on him, following in behind. We'll see what the Ferrari man can do. Istvan Pukki, I mentioned him a little bit earlier, he's been fantastic this season, and really I don't know if he's actually a development driver for any team. He might be a part of RAG. Do correct me if I'm wrong, as now, sorry, I've got to cut down on myself there. There's Luke Smith going for the move on Otis Lawrence. This is a big move, Nathan, because now Luke Smith will be the first one to be potentially attacking Piotr Stahalec, because now both of them are within that DRS range.
Yeah, very key move there from Luke Smith to put himself ahead of Otis Lawrence. He's got the DRS on Stahalec, and at the moment, Luke Smith is looking like the favoured race winner. He was P11 earlier on. Now he's looking to fight for the lead. He's within 8/10 of Stahalec, so looking for an easy overtake, surely, obviously, on the compared to the older hard tyres of Stahalec. 13 lap old hards compared to 7 lap old mediums. Obviously, we know that. With a bit of common sense, who will come out ahead? As you can see, though, Otis Lawrence still going to be hungry for this victory on the back of Luke Smith. Doesn't want to let that position go too easily, but he can't fight back just yet. And a little bit further down, look at this. Fabrizio Donoso, of course, a bit of a train, because you've got Istvan Pukki sitting behind, then you've got Valentin Bruffer. Jarno Opmeer looking for a move and puts himself ahead now into the top 10. Jarno Opmeer into the points, and then looking to also put himself ahead of Istvan Pukki. Great there from Jano Uppbeat into the top 9 there also. Could he even get from it? I don't know. So he goes, no, he sits back, he doesn't send it there. And Lucas Blakely ahead of Declan Barrett into turn 11 now. Lucas on the back of Nicholas Longay, 1.4 seconds between Nicholas and Shanaka Clay. So it should be an easy move there with DRS for Lucas Blakely as they all hop through this middle sector on that uphill chicane. Very good jobs so far from Nicholas and Lucas. Obviously in the top 5 and 6 and they've started. Then in the bottom 5, Lucas got the DRS as they head down towards turn 17 and look back at the front because I think he's going to be fighting for a lead. No, there's not. They all sit back.
Luke Smith, he doesn't want to go for the move just yet, and that's going to allow for everyone else in behind to catch up potentially. I think still, you've got to look at Lucas Blakely, Nicholas Longay with slightly fresher tyres. They still are potentially race-winning candidates, as there is Luke Smith up the inside of Piotr Stahelec. Piotr really just can't put up any fight at this point in the Grand Prix. He's going to end up sinking down the order. Now here comes Otis Lawrence in a very unconventional position to make the move stick. Is now in towards the first sector. Oh, Piotr Stahelec holding it on the inside. Otis does really well to leave him the room there, and I think that is incredible racing from the pair of them to go almost side by side through that first sector. And I think, Nathan, it shows incredible growth from Otis Lawrence. He is hunting the win of this Grand Prix. Jano Uppbeat is now up into P7 if he finishes P6 in this Grand Prix, regardless of where oh dear, Thomas Ronhart is retired in the pit lane. Nevertheless, we'll continue along. If Jano Uppbeat finishes in a P6, regardless of where everyone else is, he will win the championship. There's the move up into P6. Jano Uppbeat with 5 laps to go at the end of this race. Nathan, don't count him out.
No, definitely not. He's doing a great job. He's already in P6. He's in this train for the lead. Shanaka Clay also looking to get himself ahead of Stahelec, and he's going to be kind of the brick wall, isn't he? The Haas at the moment. Everyone's going to try and get through on him so they can still fight for the lead at the moment. Otis Lawrence is in the best position. He's got DRS now, Luke Smith. Luke Smith's got nothing to fight with. So when he comes to that last lap, Otis can just send it with the DRS down this track because it's absolutely mental, this DRS is. Does he go for the lead? No, he has to sit back. He doesn't bother sending it because he knows that Stahelec's not going to be much of a pressure in towards turn 17. He locks up and hits. So that's Lucas Blakely up the inside of Shanaka Clay. Great move. And now, look at Jano Uppbeat. He's in sight of possibly a victory from P13.
I'm getting excited watching this as now Shanaka Clay trying to fight it back on Lucas Blakely. He tried to go for the move up the inside. Lucas made a very late defensive move there, caught Shanaka ever so slightly out there, but luckily Lucas Blakely didn't go, there wasn't contact between the pair of them, and they've still been able to hold on. Now look at Jano Uppbeat all over the back of Shanaka Clay. Let's have a look at the ERS situations. Jano Uppbeat with 44%. He's going to go up the inside at the end of the first sector. Will he make that move stick? Indeed he will. Jano Uppbeat, what an opportunistic move that he just made on Shanaka Clay there. He's broken into the top 5 now. Let's have a look at Lucas Blakely trying to make the move now on Piotr Stahelec for P3. This is for a podium position in this Grand Prix. Piotr, he's holding on with the DRS in hand, but now here comes Lucas Blakely up the inside with no battery whatsoever. He'll go up the inside, make that move stick. Piotr Stahelec's really just going to lose a number of places because here comes Jano Uppbeat around the outside at the end of the second sector. Will he make the move stick into the chicane? Indeed he will. The Dutchman into P4.
That was a great move there. I didn't think at one point Stahelec knew that Jano was there, because I thought 1 minute Jano's going to go into the wall. As we now head down in towards turn 17 yet again for the 26th time in this race. It is Luke Smith leading from Otis Lawrence, leading from Lucas Blakely, and then Jano Uppbeat in P4. Stahelec ahead. No, sorry, being overtaken by Shanaka Clay in towards turn 17. Piotr's going to try and send it though as they come through, and Shanaka I think is going to get the best exit. Yes, he will. The hash driver on the hards can't fight back at all as we head through. Then towards turn 1, he's going to try and stick with him though, because Piotr still wants points in this race, and you can see now Jano Uppbeat within 4/10 of this leading train. This is going to be a great fight for the victory.
Well, Jano Uppbeat, I predicted him to win this race, but I didn't think it was going to be a potential outcome, as now he's made this 2-stop work to an absolute dream. It's not going to work in the F1 Esports series without help from a VSC or a safety car, but it's great to know that it is an option, and Jano Uppbeat has capitalised on it. He's got 4 lap fresher tyres than both Luke Smith and Otis Lawrence, 2 lap fresher tyres than Lucas Blakely. He surely, at the moment, is the favourite to win this race. However, Otis Lawrence, he does have the advantage in terms of battery. Here comes Lucas Blakely on the back of him. I'd imagine these two are in a Discord call at the moment, as there's Otis Lawrence closing the DRS in towards the corner. They go. Lucas Blakely goes very deep on the brakes and has to move out of the way so as to not run square into the back of Otis Lawrence. These guys sandbagging on the straight is allowing for everyone to close up in behind, and it is getting very close to being a disastrous situation. We're coming up to now 2 laps to go in this race. They can't be sandbagging like this anymore. The stakes at this point, Nathan, are just too high.
Yeah, they are. Jano then I think it was Lucas nearly hit the back of Otis Luke, because they both tried slowing down heavily in towards that section. Now you can see Otis Lawrence takes, no, he backs off, was going to go for lead, but he backs off there towards turn 17. Yarno also coming very close into that braking zone on the back of those. Nicholas Longe ahead of Piazza, that's also Valentin Brute there, ahead of Visvan Puka. They're talking about it, but I'm keeping my eye on this battle for the lead. The four of them all fighting for victory here tonight in Miami. You can see now Lucas Blakely looking for a move. Otis Lawrence was looking for a move. None of them can get through yet on Luke Smith. You can see Nicholas Longe on the back of Shinaka Clay. He's having a very decent race as well. Starting down in 17th position. Philip Pritchard has a penalty. He's speeding in the pit lane, along with Duncan Hoffland also entering the pit. So they will probably retire from this race. But the battle for the front, we've got 1.5 laps left to go. Dan, I don't think we can call which one of them will take it.
No, we really can't, as now Philip Pritchard does indeed retire from this race. His day is done. We'll see with 2 laps to go who is going to be brave to make the move now. Otis Lawrence is all over the back of Luke Smith. There's now more time penalties coming out for Duncan Hoffland. Let's have a look now. Is Otis Lawrence going to go towards the outside? Indeed he will, for the lead of this race. He'll stick it around the outside. Luke Smith happy to let him through for the time being. Lucas Blakely and Jarno Otmir just happily sitting in behind, sitting pretty in 3rd and 4th position. We're coming up now to 1 to go in this Grand Prix. This has been a very exciting, very confusing and enthralling Miami Grand Prix, and if you haven't already, please do make sure you subscribe to the WOR YouTube channel. We are so close to 17,000 subscribers, and you can watch even more action like this week in, week out. Here comes Jarno Otmir onto the podium. He'll get the move done on Lucas Blakely, who has no battery whatsoever, is now in towards the final 2 corners. Jarno Otmir, he's not done there. He's bloodthirsty at the minute, trying to make the move stick on Luke Smith. Lucas Blakely following in behind, but it's not going to be enough, as now Jarno Otmir onto the podium. Nathan, 1 to go here.
Yep, final lap to go, and you can see there Jarno was looking for him maybe on Luke Smith. Can't do it yet. He has to back out. He's got 4 lap newer tyres than these top 2. Any of these 4 could come out with it. Lucas Blakely sitting in behind. He's not ahead of it yet, because if any of these make a mistake, it's time for Lucas to try and capitalise off that as we come through. They're all separated by 2 or 3 tenths of a second with each other. They head through. That's an incident there for, I think, Duncan Hoffland down at that the final sets up. But we look now, eyes on Jarno Otmir, looking to get himself ahead of Luke Smith. He's got a little bit of battery in the tank to use as they head down. And look at this straight line speed here from Jarno Otmir, looking to head down in towards turn 11 and put himself ahead of both of them as they come down. Luke's looking for a move. Jarno's also looking for a move on the final lap of the race into the final few corners. You can see 3 wide in towards turn 11. Who's going to make it work? They're all going to push each other through, and I think Jarno's going to take the yes he has.
Jarno Otmir leading the race now. Now Luke Smith trying to fight it back up the inside. Indeed, he will make that move stick now, heading into the final sector for the final time in this incredible Miami Grand Prix. Jarno Otmir, the advantage will swing back to him with the DRS though. Luke Smith going to defend with everything towards the inside. These are the 2 that pitted onto the medium tyres earlier on in the race. Jarno Otmir, you can see he's blinking. He's got no battery whatsoever. He'll sell the dummy and go up the inside of Luke Smith on the final corner. Jarno Otmir hasn't led a race this race, but off the exit of the final corner, Jarno Otmir, history is made here in WOR. He is the first time 2-time PC Tier 1 champion. Jarno Otmir has done it in style after starting P13. He makes the move on the final lap at the final braking zone ahead of Otis Lawrence. Luke Smith relegated to 3rd. Nathan, we've got a new champion.
Oh my God, what a season, what a race that was. And to be crowned champion on that race, I don't think there was any better race to have it, because what a fight for victory there for Jarno Otmir. Absolutely phenomenal from him. Phenomenal from all of them. Otis, Luke, Lucas, Nicholas, great job from them all in that race. And wow, it was really entertaining the whole way through. And I think Luke and Jarno played that perfectly with that 2-stop strategy, and I think it's the first time this game, or the first time even in the past 2 games, we've had a 2-stop strategy come out on top.
Jarno Otmir, I mean, just to think that a few weeks ago, Angry Ginge was dropping 8 seconds on his head around this circuit, and now he's winning his 2nd WOR championship along through here. He'll celebrate atop the podium after what has been a very enthralling and entertaining, exciting Miami Grand Prix. Thank you to everyone watching this evening, and if you want to hear from Jarno Otmir, I'm sure he will be in the interview room very shortly, and we can talk to him about his world championship, not his world championship win, his championship win here in WOR. He won it in season 13, didn't compete in season 14, And he's returned in Season 15 to claim what was his. He'll take the championship and win this race ahead of Otis Lawrence in P2. Luke Smith rounding out the podium. Lucas Blakely from 19th all the way up into 4th. Nicholas Longe in 5th from 18th on the grid. And Shanaka Clay in 6th. 7th for Isfan Pookie. 8th is Valentin Bruffair. 9th is Fabrizio Donoso. And rounding out that top 10, Piotr Stahelec. Declan Barrett just outside the points in 11th. Would have been great to see him get points on his PC Tier 1 debut. And Danny Moreno ends up in 12th. Yanni Tormel, after a very interesting strategy, ends up in 13th. 14th for Duncan Hoffland after his spin. Tamas Gall in 15th after his strategy didn't work out. Then Jed Norgrove, after picking up damage, ends up 16th. Your DNF for today with Philip Presnader, Thomas Ronhar, Yannick Schmidt, and Will Lewis. I'll bring it over to the intermission scene. Nathan, it's not to look at our faces, it is to put this on your screens. Jarno Opmeer, your champion of WOR this season. What a season it has been for the Dutchman. Incredible stuff from him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's had a great season. Phenomenal. We'll have a little look at the standings quickly, see where he's finished. So he's had what? 1, 2, 4 wins this season. He's had pretty much podiums in every race apart from 3. Britain, he scored no points. Brazil, he was 5th, and Saudi Arabia was 5th. Apart from that, he's scored 1st, 2nd, or 3rd every race. He's had a phenomenal season. There's no words to explain how good he's done. Obviously, you've had the likes of Lucas and Nicholas who've been on his back multiple times, but he's not been faced by any of it, has he? He's done an absolute great job. And, well, if this is anything what could happen possibly in esports, it's looking good for him, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, Jarno Opmeer, he's just timeless, He is so incredibly consistent over the years. And I remember from his debut back in F1 2019, watching YouTube videos about him, he's come such a long way at this point. And it's honestly, I mean, this sounds like I'm brown nosing him, but it is actually an honor to watch just greatness like Jarno Opmeer, and he is arguably the most complete F1 Esports driver of all time, and it is great to see him taking the championship win. Nathan, I'm gonna drag in our podium sitters from this race, and then we can talk to our first drivers. Nathan, do you want to take us through an interview with Luke Smith?
Yes, Luke, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
So, great race there. Obviously, that strategy worked perfectly. Obviously, pitting onto those mediums in the VSC. Was that a plan, or did you just think, right, we'll go for it and see what happens?
Definitely more of the second one. I felt that I was in not the best position anyway, so I was thinking, all right, let's just roll the dice. Then I was able to basically use Jarno as a way to save some ERS as well, because I was a little bit down on that. Then did some good overtakes right at the right time, clinical. Tried to make the most of it. Then just tried to copy Otis again. I was a bit of a copycat this race, I'll be honest, with the strategies. But yeah, like the best thing that I found to do around here was basically just try and leech off other people's DRS, because that way my pace was a little bit better and I wasn't having to put as much stress through the tires. So the 2-stop for once actually turned out to be the right strategy, which is quite a nice thing to have in a league race. But yeah, I think it was more the VSC kind of capitalizing on that, and then just working with other people to keep good pace. So yeah.
Yeah, was you expecting a podium from that, or was it just, we'll see where we end up?
To be honest, it was more of just see where we end up. But then once I started to realize, wait, okay, I've actually got really good pace. We're close to the guys ahead, and we can actually make some moves here. So we were able to cut through the field quite easily because of our tire advantage. And from around lap 12, 13-ish, I was like, okay, we can win this. And then basically after the second pit stop, it was basically just running the race as if it was a normal hard medium. So yeah.
And I suppose, obviously, with it being your first podium of the season, it's probably the best way to get your first podium, a 2-stop, on which it never normally works. So yeah, well done on that. Anything from you, Dan?
Well, Luke, this is one of your many podiums that you've had here in WOR, but that win is still eluding you. In the last 2 rounds of this season, we head to Las Vegas and Japan. You confident round there?
Yeah, Vegas definitely. Suzuka, we were lacking a little bit in PSGL. But we know what we need to do to find some pace. So all good around there. Definitely gonna hope to be talking to you again next week. But yeah, I think just like a podium as well is still a good sign. It's a good result for the team as well. So we can be positive, we can be happy, and it's a big morale boost, to be honest. So let's take it race by race, but definitely confidence is growing.
Really well done this evening, making that two-stop strategy work. Try saying that 5 times fast, but yeah, really well done this evening. We hope to hear from you in the last 2 rounds. We'll let you get away and enjoy that podium. Luke Smith, everyone.
Thank you. GG, you too.
Thank you.
So that concludes our interview with Luke Smith. We'll talk to Otis Lawrence next. We'll save the champ for last. Otis, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Right, pole position coming into this race. How do you feel coming into it?
I felt pretty good. I mean, I messed up the last sector of my quali lap, which wasn't great, but yeah, the race was decent. Obviously we had good pace. Shame the VSC come out. Obviously got a bit unlucky, but anyway, at the end of the day we had good pace. And yeah, we're just gonna try and carry us on for the rest of the season.
Yeah, of course. Now for the last 2 rounds, we are headed to Las Vegas and Japan. How are you feeling around the brand new circuit on the F1 23 game?
It's not really a great track because of the RNG, but yeah, hopefully they've updated it. And it might even get changed. I'm not sure if it's that bad, but yeah, we'll see. I'm not really sure what the pace is like there because we haven't really raced anyone on other games around there. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
Of course, now podiums are becoming a regular occurrence for you here in Tier 1. It's your 4th of the season. You weren't quite in the championship fight this season, but coming into season 16, do you think you could be fighting it out with some of the big guns?
Yeah, I'm trying my best. Obviously these guys are the best on the game, so it's gonna be very hard to try and beat them. But yeah, I'm gonna try and give it my all. Obviously I haven't won many races. I've only came on a podium 3 times and won 1. So yeah, we've got close to winning, but I'm just gonna keep pushing and keep working hard at the game and trying my best.
Yeah, well, really well done. That's all from me. Nathan, anything from you?
Nothing much really, apart from well done, great race.
Thank you,
nice to see
Nathan,
back
mate.
on the podium. Well
Shut up,
done.
mate.
That concludes our interview with Otis Lawrence, and that leaves us with just one man who's currently doing a time trial around China, Jarno Opmeer, season 15 champion.
Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, well, you were doing on the interview, and I was like, I might as well get a lap in. But yeah, of course, great to win WR Championship. Still got PSGL left, of course, which I want to win as well. That's why I'm practicing already. Yeah, I just came back from a boot camp with the Mercedes Esports team, so I had to get used to another rig real fast today without much practice for Miami. So hence why I struggled a little bit in qualifying. But yeah, in the race, I think it's much closer when it comes down to setups anyway. So.
And this season, just on the whole, it's been completely dominant from you. And of course, you are the first ever 2-time PC champion here in WOR. Does that mean anything to you?
Yes, of course. Very good to win another league racing title. And yeah, it's of course driving against the best of the best. So of course it's good to have that confidence going into F1 Esports. But yeah, it doesn't mean everything yet. I don't think it necessarily means that we're going to win F1 Esports, but yeah, it at least shows that we're up there and consistently. So.
And of course, I'm still a bit salty about last week about not getting to ask that interview question that I wanted to. So I think I'll drop it now. Coming into this race, Angry Ginge dropped 8 seconds on your head. Were you nervous that you weren't going to be able to fight for the win tonight?
Yeah, I think that's why also I was off the pace in qualifying. It hurt my confidence so much that I couldn't even get into Q3. So yeah, unfortunately the race I could set it aside and go for the win.
I mean, well, it worked out in the end. I think maybe it was good practice for you, fighting it out with one of the F1 Esports greats. But that is all from me in terms of questions. Nathan, anything from you?
Just one question. Obviously, Luke, we asked him about what he thought of the strategy. What did you think about the strategy? Did you think you could win with the two stop, or was it just kind of hope for the best?
Yeah, of course, I had to make a decision within like 5 seconds. I had very little time to think about it. And yeah, I was like, why not? Might as well, if I'm going for the championship, the race, might as well go and try and do it in style. So yeah, end of lap 6 or 7, I decided, yeah, why not? Might as well go for it and make this race a little bit more fun. And fortunately for us, it was, I think, so the best strategy. So
Yeah, well, that's all from me. Just yeah, well done on that championship. Great job.
thank you.
Yeah, Jarno, I mean, really well done this season. It's been completely dominant from yourself, and we're hoping to see very much the same in F1 Esports. I'm looking in the WOR live chat and in your Twitch chat. I mean, it is just incredible to see the support that you have. Just before you go, anything you want to say to your fans?
No, thank you everyone for watching again. And see you guys next week again.
Oh, I mean, it's the no there. I mean, really well done, Jarno. We'll let you get away and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you for joining us in the commentary box. It was an incredibly well worked season. Still 2 rounds left to go. We'll hope to see you back here.
Thank you.
Okay, and that concludes our interview with our 2-time champ. I'll put it back up on your screens now. You can see Jarno Uppmeer. Apologies, the graphic is a little bit incorrect there, but Jarno Uppmeer is your 2-time WOR champion, Season 13 and now Season 15, winning it here in Miami in dominant style with 2 rounds to spare. What can we say about him, Nathan?
Yeah, as you said before, great job. And when he said no, it reminded me a little bit like what Kimi Räikkönen had come out with. Oh, great. But I'm sure his fans know he didn't mean it in a mean way.
No.
But yeah, great job from you. And always nice to obviously chat with him in the interview room as well as everyone else. And yeah, I think it's always nice when we have all the podium sitters in the interview room because you can always talk to them and, figure out how their race went and what they could have done better. And obviously, 3 completely different races for these drivers on the podium normally. Well, I suppose on the last game, they'd all be doing the same strategy. But here, lots of different strategies going on, especially between Otis, Jarno and Luke. So yeah, it was nice to hear from them and see what they thought of the track and the race and, of course, the championship itself.
Yeah, I mean, just what else can we really say? Oh, do apologise, everyone. I've got the wrong screen up on Discord. I'm looking in the commentators chat where Luke is calling me an egg for some reason. But yeah, I'll bring us back full screen here. I mean, what else can we really say? It was a really exciting Miami Grand Prix, Nathan.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it. From the races I've done this season, it's probably my favourite. I think I've done about 5. So yeah, it's a good. It's definitely deserved of my favourite. But yeah, we'll see what happens next week in the 3rd USA Grand Prix at Vegas.
Yes, the triple header here in WOR. We've been to Kota, we've been to Miami. Now we're headed to the all-new Las Vegas circuit, where it's going to be incredibly fun to watch. But Nathan, I believe that's all from us this evening.
Yeah, nothing else left for me to say. So yeah, feel free to send us off.
Well, thank you to everyone for tuning in this evening, where you got to witness WOR history in the making. Jarno Uppmeer is the first ever 2-time WOR PC champion. What a result it was for him today. Going out in style, and I got my prediction right as well. I said he was going to win the race. He was going to go out with a bang, and I was absolutely right. We still have 2 rounds left in this WOR season. It is not over. Season 15, the circus continues. We head to Las Vegas. What some drivers are confident for, and what some drivers are not looking forward to. We'll have to wait and see if it makes for a good race next time by. But for now, that is all. Thank you, everyone, once again so much for tuning in this evening. You make this WORPC Tier 1 season possible. Season 15 has been bigger and better than ever, and it's all thanks to the viewers. So thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the WOR YouTube channel. We are so close to 17,000 subscribers, and it'll be a big milestone to reach that. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, it'll be @WOR League. And if you want to keep up to date with all your WOR news, you can check out the Discord. The link is in the description. If you want to follow myself on Twitter, it is @DanFieldF1_. And if you want to follow Nathan, it is RichieF1 with the I's replaced by the ones. Thank you everyone once again so much for tuning in this evening. We will see you next time. Bye in Vegas.